Did you all, I'm just curious, did you all get, the mail out that we sent, which was,
To who does it go?
yeah, get those things out of the way, which was to, on the, land use component, the verbiage of that, as well as the land use implementation plan. So did you all get that?
Yep.
Okay. Oh,
Excited.
see, me of little faith.
All right.
Just 2 meetings a night.
Here's the agenda for anybody who needs it,
Oh, that'd be neat.
and,
Have we read through it?
and
Anybody else?
Jim, you wanted that?
What is the agenda say?
Thank you.
So,
We can pass them out if anybody wants them. Thanks.
it says miss, and I think,
Grab more.
And Steve, that was the.
General
Yeah, I'm
business.
sorry, I couldn't
That's
make
okay.
it.
They got something there?
No.
Oh, who makes it?
Oh, wait, oh, is Elizabeth gone?
Yeah, she's gone.
Yeah, so the answer is yes.
So,
You gotta sit in one of the rock chairs. Oh, that's.
Yeah.
I've got,
I want them to squeeze my knee when they say something wrong.
does anybody need a copy of the land use or implementation plan? I've got a few extras here, otherwise I can print some more.
I'll take the guy.
Okay, I'll pass.
That was you already sent out?
Yes.
Yeah.
Land use.
Last time we met, to me, I don't know how all you felt, but I thought it was the most productive session we'd had talking about the master plan. That was back on February 1st. And we talked a lot about some misconceptions that we've all had, some truisms that we've had about industrial development and ratables and things like that out of Route 1. And I think it was very helpful. We got that information then to the consultants. They have then redone the economic development and housing portions. There's still more to be done in them based on what I just read. The land use component should be the element that brings most of these things together. That there's probably gonna be things in the land use implementation plan that is gonna be repetitive. It's gonna have repeat stuff that was in economic development or in housing, because it just does that. I think there are still some things out there and still some provocative things that we need to talk about. So in terms of going through this, so what we wanna do tonight is the land use context and the implementation plan of the land use. We can get through that, we can maybe go back over the implementation plan that we did the last time and just kind of refresh ourselves. At the next session that we have in maybe a month or two, maybe probably more like 2, we're gonna do transportation and community facilities. And we need to get to you, Fred, because we have been, Martha and I have been taking what you and I did,
Yeah.
and we've been kind of putting it together. But we need to get it to you first before we send it to anybody, so that'll probably be in the next week or 2.
Okay.
All right? But we're missing things like, where are we with the police station and things like that, because they were left out. So-
If I could interrupt, I didn't
Sure.
want to interrupt, but seeing as how you're on the subject, there is one particular concern, item, whatever, that is not addressed in the master plan in any way, and it could fall under, let's see, community facilities, it could fall under natural resources, it could fall under even economic development, but that is the Parker River situation. No, I think a lot of us are familiar with the problem, but it isn't in here, it wasn't, I checked the previous,
Which situation?
well, let me finish. I checked the previous master plan, there was nothing addressing it, but what I'm talking about is the launching ramp, the wharf, the parking for the launching ramp, and the river itself, and as far as, you know, taxes for boat taxes and everything else. It's a recreational thing. It existed in 2006, but it wasn't a huge deal, but it is, I mean, I live on the river, and I look at the river every day, and the difference between 2006 and now, in the depth of water there is startling. You can't get out of that river at low tide at all in a boat that draws any water. And you know, that's going to eventually push people out of the river. The marina's gonna.
So is it ever dredged?
No, and the town can't afford to dredge it. The problem is,
And it changes, the current changes, I mean, every winter, that channel changes.
yeah, it does, and it is changed this year, they haven't acknowledged it yet, but it's a serious problem, and the town float is in tough shape, somebody's gonna fall through and they're gonna sue the town. But that's why I brought that up at the town meeting last night, because there's some serious problems. The town launching ramp is a disaster waiting to happen at low tide. You can't launch a boat there. You get stuck. There's a huge
There's a
hole at the end of the ramp. And it's you know, and somehow this stuff has escaped here, but you know, it's not a land use, it's a water use. If you know what I mean, so it is kind of escaped.
What's it, 500 boats there?
In the river?
Yeah.
Well, it's way overcrowded, that's part of the problem.
But there's 500?
Oh. You mean counting launching ramp? Yeah, probably,
Okay.
probably.
So throw 100 times $100,
Yeah,
that's
it's a lot
500.
of money. But it's also, you know, the use of the river and the harbor master that does all the work, not the
Chief.
police chief,
Titular.
the chief, he acknowledges, he knows nothing about that stuff. But Jim Valonis is well aware that a lot of the problem is due to the boat wakes eating at the bank. And, you know, we're gonna have to do something to control that. There's too many boats and they go too fast and as it eats at the bank, the material goes in the bottom of the river. The river gets shallower and shallower. That's what's happened. But also we have the ramp issue, and the ramp issue folds over into an issue with the lower green. They park on the lower green. And the selectmen have chosen to kind of look aside on that, because the Historic Commission has brought that to their attention and asked them to try to keep the cars off of there, and they've looked the other way, but it's a problem. The whole area is a problem, and it isn't in here,
So
anywhere.
What needs to be in there? Is it a statement of the problem, or does anybody?
Oh, there's lots of possible solutions
What I
too.
was gonna say, is there any statement about how to solve it?
No, there's no statement on anything.
Well, from you.
Oh, yeah, from me, oh, yeah, from either of us.
Well, then I
Of course there is, I'm a loudmouth.
So, wouldn't you all agree that Fred should write this up?
I
Yeah.
can't do
Wait a
it.
second, I don't think Fred should do it alone.
No, he can write it up as part of the community facilities thing, just as you did the recreation, and get me that stuff and we'll all review it. Martha, you and I will review it, and then we can bring it to the community, to this group in a month or so.
Now, Tony, we addressed some of that in the transportation section as
The
well.
parking in the lower green.
Right,
Yeah.
right, and also
Within five.
recreational use of the river, I mean, some of the launching things came up, so
Right.
there might be some overlap there as well.
Yeah, there would be a lot of overlap here, yeah. But,
And also in the natural resources section.
But you also got bugs down there keeping people away too.
you know, we used to say that years ago, but Greenhead Control has done a terrific job. Every year there are less.
And those old midgets that,
Oh, you can't
Dusk.
do anything about those.
oh man,
That's when the fights happen at the launching.
I know.
No, but if you wanna talk about erosion and safety on the waterway and the like, that also extends to that branch of water that goes behind the refuge. We see
Absolutely.
people going very fast,
Plum Island
causing
River?
erosion.
Plum Island River?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh,
Erosion
absolutely. I
of
should have
banks.
mentioned that, but absolutely it is.
And that probably deserves a couple sentences as well, because I've talked to Parker River about it, they say it's not under our jurisdiction, it's under the jurisdiction of the town in terms of trying to lower the speed,
It's
lower
a
the
serious
speeds.
problem. Howie Fernal, when he was alive, called my attention to the fact that the intercoastal waterway, in some places down south, they have a 5 mile an hour speed limit posted for extended distances, and there's no logs, no floats, no nothing in that area, but because of the erosion problem.
Well, no, I go up and down the coast and it fills in.
Yeah, right.
In the 5 mile an hour zones, it fills.
Oh,
right
that's
in.
probably because it's not enforced that much, yeah.
No,
No,
It's-
it's
it's
just
Just-
natural.
it's just natural
Just
fills in.
sedimentation, yeah, that could be too.
It just fills in.
Is the wake the major problem?
It is a major problem.
The major problem?
Well, up where it's a 5 mile an hour limit, there's not too much erosion, but down where there isn't, there's a lot of erosion.
But the
Well,
other
we
thing
had
that
wakes
happens-
yesterday from the wind.
Yeah,
I
Yeah,
lived
you
with
think so, but
it. I know so.
again, I live on the river.
I did,
I live on the river, and when you have the wind waves, they're almost always against the tide, so they're going up and down the river. They don't go so much to the bank. They do in the sound, but not in the river. They don't go so much to the bank. But boat waves, boat wakes go into the bank, and they tend to be larger than the wind waves.
I really think economically, you talk about the ramps, the parking, the marinas, the moorings and stuff like that. And that is a thing for COMCOM, wouldn't it be, to tell us what to do and something like that?
Yeah. You would think so, but
Well,
talking to Doug,
Gee, if we knew anybody who was on the Concom.
Come on, Dan.
talking to Doug Packer, all they're into, the marina wants to put in an expansion of,
I was gonna mention.
I've forgotten how many floats, 5 or, I mean, for 5
Yeah, but
to
don't
9
they do
boats,
that
something
through
like
the
that.
Army Corps?
But, well, they've gotta
They
go
have to
through
get
the Army
local
Corps,
law.
I don't get into that, but all they're interested in, you know, are the floats touching the bottom, do the motors stir up the bottom, but they aren't interested in much of anything else.
I'm actually working on a dredge right now on Plum Island. And there are so many environmental people you have to deal with.
Yeah,
It's unbelievable. We're trying to dredge a little spot in front of the docks and use the sand
yeah,
on the
right,
beach.
right. And you're not even in the CZM.
Yes, we are.
Oh, that's your problem.
And we're trying to keep it under the footage. We're trying to keep it under a 1/4 acre and so many feet and so many cubic yards, keep it away from doing that other thing you have to do. We had the fish people, this people, that people, that people the other day. Now we're having another meeting with this one, this one, this one, and this one. And then we're gonna have another meeting with this one, this one, this one, this one.
Yeah.
And, oh, by the way, you've gone by the season.
Yeah, there you go.
And it's just like,
Right.
Well,
and
my
this is, we're
neighbors-
on our second year.
My neighbor's trying to change his float slightly, and he got approval from the Army Corps of Engineers, he got approval from, the Conservation Commission, he got approval from, what the heck is it, DEP, but CZM put a stop to it.
Yeah, Bob.
They're off,
No, actually, Bob isn't a bad guy. If you talk to him, bring him down.
they're off of this.
I'm telling
He
you.
knows
I feel
this
it.
guy.
All right, hey,
But we gotta get on to it.
I know, I
Guys.
know, I
Just wanna
know.
mention one thing, that we do have the estuarine management plan
Right,
that covers
right.
a lot of those issues.
Yeah,
It might just be mentioned in the master plan.
yeah, that's what we should.
Where do you
that's
have
what
it? where is this
I think it's
written?
on the website.
It's on, I think it's on the
In the
Concom website.
Concom's
No,
website?
it's,
Or it could be, yeah, and I have a hard copy of it,
You do?
yeah.
So what would we do is we go to that one, from that one. We'll worry about the economic
We
part
have a
of it.
plan, but it doesn't seem to be working.
Well,
well,
it
I
wasn't,
don't think it's,
it wasn't,
Implemented.
yeah, it wasn't
like,
really adopted.
nobody knows where it is. so.
Well, so Fred is going to write something up and eventually the larger group
Well,
will
we'll take a look at it, all right?
Yep.
But I really think we should stay on the economic part and the business part of it.
All right, so here we are. What I wanted to do on the land use context in this document, what I was thinking of doing was simply going through it page by page and see if people had comments on that page.
All right, which one are you on?
I am on
That way.
land use context.
Yep, okay.
And I'll go through it page by page, and if anybody has any comments above and beyond what are on there, which I think these most recent things in red are yours, am I right? They're from, and this is the document that we received from our consultants about 2 or 3 weeks ago, is that about
Yeah,
right?
they're dated, March
Which,
14th.
which did take into account some of the changes that we had made at our last session, okay? okay? So if anybody, I'm gonna just go
Yeah.
through,
You know, Elmo's got comments.
yeah, then good,
You know,
fine.
under overview, the 1, 2, 3, 4th line down, it says, is most closely associated with the communities along the North Shore of Boston. I don't think that's true. I think really it's the communities within the northeast corner of Essex County. Don't forget, the North Shore of Boston runs from Revere traditionally to Cape Ann. That's the traditional North Shore. Now, they've stretched it out since then, but we don't have much in common with people south of Ipswich. We really don't.
Why don't we just call it the northernmost North Shore?
Well, we just call it the northeast corner of Essex County because basically that's what it is.
Right, that's a good definition geographically.
Well, it's the great, marsh.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's the marsh that really defines it.
It does.
So if you say along the Great Marsh.
Right, the great marsh.
You could do that, yeah, that would be acceptable.
Well, okay,
Thank
so
you.
we'll.
The community is abutting the Great Marsh, I
Yeah.
could do that.
And that goes from Ipswich to,
Hampton
To
to
Salisbury.
Gloucester, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, that's good.
that's good.
That's good, Steve.
Anything?
Steve, I came up with that.
It was Ron, it was Ron.
Give him
All right,
credit for something I
anything
did.
else on page?
Then, next to last sentence in that paragraph, the neighboring city of Newburyport, I think we should say at that point, originally part of Newbury, as historically.
Oh, now you're going too far.
No, well,
I mean, you're right,
otherwise,
you're right. but-
otherwise,
The farming community of Newburyport,
Yeah,
this is gonna be viewed by a lot of people, other than just people that know Newbury.
So I think we have, that we were originally part of, that Newburyport was originally part of Newbury somewhere else, don't we?
I think it may, but it probably wouldn't be bad to mention.
Oh, so
Otherwise,
you're
why the
setting
heck
up
is
to-
that why the heck is that our downtown?
when was our breakup from Newburyport?
1764.
That's the breakup.
Yeah,
Good for you.
And it was 16 what that we came,
1635.
1635 we came up the Parker River.
Yeah,
No, in 1635, we came from either Salem or Boston.
Right.
Yeah, but
loved it.
we
came up the Parker.
overwintered
we
it.
came up the Parker,
overnighted in Ipswich, right?
yeah.
Holiday
Came
Inn.
up the
Overwintered,
Parker.
yes.
It's the Holiday Inn.
I went to the history course on it.
Right.
For those of you interested in such things, the New York Times, no, the Wall Street Journal had a book review of something about the Lowells, the famous
I just
Lowells.
ordered that,
And it talks about how they came into Newbury way back
in
when.
1639. I didn't, did you know that? You must have.
No, I didn't know that.
I knew that.
1639.
But I know they weren't here in 1635, because my boss told me that, but yeah.
Yeah, 1639, they
They
arrived, and
just
they were
found
here
out.
for like 100 years, and then they did their thing.
Good job. I think I can send a link to Martha, the distributor, if you want, it's a pretty good review.
It is a great review.
And get you thinking about
Yeah.
another.
Steve, are you all right? Your face looks funny.
It's pretty red, I think.
Yeah, but you've got high blood pressure or
Yeah,
something?
yeah, among other things.
I mean, that's not very nice.
Well, I had a heart attack, so I know that you're looking at people to see if they're all right.
I'll fill you in at the end of the meeting.
All right, so the neighboring city of Newbury is originally part of the town of Newbury as historic. All right, you wanna do that?
We
We
have
can do that.
we have an actual historic thing, we did it a couple of years ago where we re-landed at the landing.
Yeah, that's right. Hey, right, I was in the rowboat, yeah.
Yeah,
There's some photos, there's some photos of that.
yeah, so I was down there for that, yeah.
Okay.
I was rowing.
Yeah.
I was rowing.
We'll make that.
Then the next to the last word on that page, it says primarily. I say it's surrounded by historic, because you're talking about the lower green, those are all historic structures around there, except that
The upper green is surrounded by historic residential.
it's surrounded by historic structures and
Expensive
open
houses.
space. That's what it's surrounded by. I mean, you're in my neighborhood here.
So this is the
Historic
upper,
structures,
and while the lower green near the Pucker is surrounded by primarily residential. You wanna get rid of primarily?
Yeah, because it's historic structures and open space.
Okay. That's okay.
Until you put it in red.
Yeah, I was gonna say, that's the richest part of the town.
Oh, God, no, I don't know, do we have a richest spot
Yeah,
anymore?
the Rochesters have done it.
Actually.
Actually,
Right,
my neighbor just made $1.5 billion.
yeah, I was just gonna say.
She just
why?
moved into town. She sold the rights to Dick Clark for $1.5 billion to the Chinese, two Chinese guys. So I think she's doing okay.
Yeah.
Came and bought a little house, and all of a sudden, all these people are coming down, and new interiors and everything, I'm like,
Yeah,
All right, second page.
Yeah, next
Turn the page.
it says, the 1940s and 1950s, again, that's where I grew up, was Ross Lane, so I know what was going on over there. It's
Well,
40s and 50s that where all those houses were built there.
So, all the post-war era.
Yeah,
Just say
because,
forties and fifties.
Anchor Way wasn't built till the 50s. And
Well, we've got the
several of those
50s in
houses.
We do have them in there though, while the 1950s saw expansion along Parker and Hanover Streets. We've got it.
Right, but you're talking about the Montgomery Park area,
Yeah.
that's being forties and fifties.
Yeah. Exactly.
And then the next part talks about Parker and Hanover.
I make two comments above, when you talk about Plum Island, it's editorial, I don't have a better word, we talk about the village of Plum Island. I know there's been a tendency to use the word throughout, but I really don't think of us as a
That's,
village.
that's a planner's word, yeah.
But I don't have an alternative word.
well, it is a village. It's a captured village.
I don't know, it's just a
It is.
comment.
It's got a road to it,
Yeah.
and the houses are all stuck next to each other in a village.
Yeah, it's got
There's a
commercial.
little center.
And it's got commercial, and it's got meat, did it?
Again, it's the first reference I've seen to the village of Plum Island. But then in the next to the last line, when they talk about the highly restricted development regulations,
Must be against me.
I am unaware, they may be restrictive, I would hardly call them highly restrictive.
Yeah, they are.
Especially
Haven't
as
you seen the height
implemented.
of those buildings?
And the 3 stories of living space, that's, I would propose to delete highly.
Everybody agree with that?
Sure.
Yeah, me too.
That's fine. Then I got a comment, again, in the first paragraph on that page, last sentence. It says, "To the park or river near the Rowley border." Well, it actually carries right to the marsh at the Rowley border. I don't know why they skipped the other side of the river, so it should just say to the Rowley border.
Let me just see where this, historic titles come, including residences, farms, public
No,
uses.
it's all kinds of businesses over
Scattered
there.
businesses extends
houses
along
too.
Route 1 from the Upper Green, near the border with Newburyport to the Raleigh
Raleigh
border.
border.
Yeah.
Parker River near,
Yeah.
so.
In fact, we just got $2 million houses built over there, speaking of which.
Yeah, who built that?
Britain,
Yeah, but is it spec?
one is spec, one is not. The one on the island is spec.
What you want for that?
I have no idea.
Check Zillow.
The other one is custom built for a custom.
The one on Newbury Neck is
Yeah.
custom.
Yeah.
Okay, next,
Then I had a question about the last line about recreational uses and residential development zoning provisions. May come up later, but it occurred to me with this open space, is that open to everyone or just the people that own the properties?
It varies.
Yeah,
Which place?
you know, for instance, when we did the open space in ours, the town pushed for, access.
Right,
And I said, as
access.
long as you have the insurance, so that people get hurt by horses, you cover it, you can have access, and the town decided that they did not want access.
So yours is private, Wilshire Road is private,
Then how can
the
it,
others
What's
are
Caldwell?
public.
What's
but
Caldwell?
it's open
It's
spec,
public.
Caldwell's
It's supposed
public.
to be public, but
yeah.
Well, it is public, and, there's no doubt that it is public, it's just a question of when we're gonna put the trail in, but Dan's doing that next week.
Does the state in Maine, I have a lot of property, and I have snowmobiles and stuff that go through my property, and I'm more protected from the state if I let them through than if I don't let them through. And they come on my property anyways and get hurt.
I know, that was my understanding years ago from having horse trails through property in Hamilton. I don't know if it's still,
I know in Maine, because I deal with it all the time, I'm more protected if I open the trails up to them than I am if they just come on my property.
I know, and I thought there was a similar state.
Well, they must have some kind of insurance rider,
No, they completely indemnify you from anything happening.
Yeah.
Anyways,
What's that?
The recreational use statute we got in Massachusetts.
It's the same thing.
But it's not, it's just you can't charge. As long
Right,
as you
right,
don't
right.
charge a fee,
Right,
Right.
Somebody comes on your property and
before I eat them all.
ball down, hits their head, tough luck.
Yeah, I'll bring them closer, that's all right.
No, that's fine.
Anyway, I thought as written, it was a little bit more expansive and might lead one to think that everything is open to the public, and maybe it's not, and that might be something that planners might wanna think about wordsmithing a little bit. And it may come up again later, I think it comes up again later in my notes. I mean, it's not as open as you think.
It is not, you're right.
Moving on.
Anything else on this page?
Yeah, Byfield, third line, you know, I really got the point across to the consultant on getting rid of the word homes, and she went to residences in most places, which was good. I'd love to see houses changed to residences, she was so good at doing it mostly, not entirely, but mostly. I got the, real estate stuff out of her and got her pointed more towards planning.
She must have gone crazy with you.
Yeah, well, probably, she isn't here, right?
I can go residence.
I'm building quite a reputation, so.
Yeah, residences work, yeah.
Oh, then there's an error in the next, third to last line on the page, full line. It says, single-family houses and townhouses. Could you please show me where the townhouses are? I think they're talking about condominiums.
I think they're probably talking about
Caldwell. Caldwell's a townhouse.
Those are
Those
townhouses.
townhouses?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Are they also condominiums?
Yes.
But a
We have other
townhouse is
places
two
where-
houses on one foundation.
We have, there's other places where there's condominiums that there aren't townhouses, right?
Culver Village,
Yeah.
it's single-family detached.
Single family
condominiums.
detached, right.
The condominiums might be a better word there then.
Townhouse,
No, townhouses is.
townhouse is
That's
a,
right.
It's the word.
townhouse has a structural connotation,
Right.
condominium has an ownership connotation.
Right.
I saw you looking
Right.
at them, Dan. Boy, they're neat.
There's not a bad
That's
choice
what
in
it
a
is.
lot.
No.
It's not a huge deal.
Anybody else?
Okay,
I'll move around.
anything more on this page? I'm gonna turn the page.
No, she wants more.
Three,
Go ahead.
going to three. Going to three.
Bottom of the page,
You're on three?
Thank you.
Okay.
Now you can go back.
last paragraph is talking about where the Great Marsh runs. And the Great Marsh runs from Hampton, New Hampshire to Gloucester. I don't care how you count it, they've got it, it runs from Newbury to Gloucester, it goes a lot further than Newbury,
Well,
but
I
it
think
does.
they're talking about the ACEC, which Newburyport did not adopt, so
Oh,
the Great Marsh and the ACEC are not
oh,
coterminous.
so if Newburyport didn't adopt it, why is he having all the trouble with the area critical environmental concern with his dredging?
Because it goes into state and federal.
Right.
Yeah, but the, what you call it, shouldn't be reviewing that.
Everybody reviews it.
Like, shouldn't be.
Yeah, I thought geographically, the Great Marsh extended up into New Hampshire,
Yeah, the Great Marsh.
Oh, yeah,
is-
Hampton goes.
Great Marsh does, but the ACEC
There's a typo also at the bottom, see that second from the bottom? After refuge, owns,
Owns, oh, yeah.
No,
Okay.
the S is
Yeah.
deleted, so it's
Yeah.
owned by the US. Fish and
right,
Wildlife
owned. Okay, I'm going to, anything else on three?
Oh, all
Going
right,
to four.
this is the way to keep us going. Good.
Fred, there is no four.
But the other thing I was, on this is that we talk about Crane Pond. It just seems repetitive, 2,576 acre Crane Pond, and then we say it covers a total of
That was a typo,
2,570.
that was my fault. That was
Right,
a typo.
okay,
Oh, yeah.
I
Second
made that
paragraph,
type.
Mm-hmm.
Who
second
made this
paragraph,
type?
You believe that?
No.
second paragraph, next to the last full line, privately owned undeveloped land, I'm sorry, it gets to be a planner again.
We're
You
in-
can call it open
Right.
land, but you can't call it undeveloped. You can call it open land, that's okay. But most of it is used for something, it's used for recreation, for woodlot, for farming, for something. There's no such thing as undeveloped land usually. In the desert, yeah, but that's about it.
Well,
I'm not sure if I agree with that.
no, because Like
Boy,
behind the
you didn't get my
Colby's,
planning education.
behind the Colby's fields,
Yeah,
we have a woods and then an airport,
Yeah.
and there's nothing we can do with it. You know, I work down there with them.
takes wood off it all the time.
No.
Yeah, he
Charlie
does.
gets wood in the other section.
He gets wood off that, gets wood out of all that stuff.
He gets it behind the field. I'm talking right behind the farm there.
Believe me, the proper word is open land.
And it's a mess down there. Trees all over the place.
Well, we don't know what they're referring to. 1,000 acres of private, I mean, undeveloped land can be woodland, it can be open space, it can be a pasture,
But those
and
things
it's
all
not
show-
developed.
Yeah, it is, it's developed.
No, it's not developed in the traditional economic
Ah.
development stage. There's
Oh.
no structure on it, that means developed.
How come they gave the preachers the shittiest woodlots?
Yeah.
When you look around town, the awfulest woodlots are like a little island or something.
Oh,
It's a
yeah.
preacher's woodlot.
He didn't need much wood.
The only reason I'm not gonna fight on this, but is that we're talking about land use and future land use. And it's more instructive, at least to me, to have a term that says it's undeveloped. And undeveloped kinda means there's no structure on it.
Okay, just like town meeting, I'll go on to the next. I made
Thank
my
you, Frank.
point, that's all I can do.
You know, this thing with all the fish and wildlife and all that, to me, it's a lot of words. It would be a lot easier to understand what is being said if it was just a table.
Oh, okay.
You know, it would just, there's a lot of numbers in there that are hard to relate to
Right.
one another. and if it
Now,
was-
which paragraph?
The first one.
The first
front
one?
page.
I
The
mean,
William Forward Wildlife,
I'm not gonna,
And a lot of those numbers.
I don't really
partly
care
in
that
another
much,
town.
but it just, it's sort of,
okay.
Maybe we could just condense it and take out some of the, do like a total acreage
Yeah.
or something.
in
like
general, I think it's important for people, some people have the wrong impression. You know, so much of the open land or the protected open space is, it's underwater, or it's wet. It's not like there's anything you can do with it, you know?
Right.
I think that may be mentioned, but if the emphasis is pointed in that direction, I think it's better.
And you can't hay the federal land anymore.
Really?
I thought the Colbys did.
Yeah.
No, they got thrown off when,
Really?
in the 80s.
I thought they still. Well, I'm
They
confused.
do their own land,
Yep.
and they do other people's land. And they do the Greenbelt land. They do not do the federal land.
I guess you're right, all they do is like down to Cross Farm, all they do is they hire somebody to mow it, but they don't take the hay off.
No, they can't go on the federal
Oh, they
land.
do, they mow it every year.
No, I'm talking the Colbys
Yeah,
cannot
okay, yeah.
hay the federal land.
I heard you.
Hmm.
And I go out there with them all the time. But they can take care of the Phragmites, and they do. Because Bub cuts the Phragmites.
Yeah, well, that doesn't do anything, that just makes more.
Well, actually, he cuts it 3 times, poisons it, and he replants, because he lives on hay.
Right? No, no.
So we've been doing that for years.
Okay, end of this page, anything else on this page that has changes since 2007? Anything else? Okay. On to the next page. I don't know, there's no numbers on them, I assume this is like 5.
Infrastructure?
Yeah, right, actually though,
No.
you've asked a question, I'm not sure if it's of me, do we have the total acreage of the land set aside? I don't know. That would be in the OSRDs, right? Is that what your question was?
Actually, I think it was a question from you, whether we had.
That was
actually
my
totaled- That
question.
was your question,
That's right. I don't know the answer to that.
yeah, so I don't know that we've actually tabulated, Michelle might have that.
Yeah, well, it'd be instructive, but, I think it would, I can ask Michelle if you think she has it.
You don't want to get into too many details about since 2007, because that raises the specter of the pink house.
Oh, well, yeah.
Probably don't want to mention that in here.
I have no intention of mentioning the pink house in here.
Well, why do we bring it up?
No, I'm just saying, in the tabulations we're doing.
I was at a lighthouse meeting Monday night, and somebody brought it up, and they went out of their minds.
The pink house?
No, the lighthouse people.
Oh,
Burn it down, they kept saying.
yeah, well,
The pink house wasn't pink when I was a kid.
No, it wasn't.
okay, anything, we have infrastructure, environmental constraints, no comments about any
I
of these
don't have any
things?
comments on that.
All right, next page, zoning, regulatory framework, different set of numbers.
Okay, I wanna get rid of homes and turn them into houses or residences or something.
Where are you? What page, I mean, what line?
Not cool, see, this is just fine tuning.
Okay.
All right, you're gonna give it to Martha and
She's
she'll
doing
just
it right
make.
now, this is just fine tuning. There's something they missed, that's all.
Okay, the town's open.
We don't want this to be a real estate brochure in the end, that's my thing.
Okay, gonna go to the next page, overlay districts, state regulations.
No comment.
No comments. Next page. This is excellent. My only comment on this page was I wasn't sure that the zoning for housing development belonged in this location. I thought it belonged in housing, but where she's defining smart growth and compact neighborhood zoning. Did you have any thoughts on that one?
It didn't really,
Didn't bother you?
didn't bother me.
That's, aside from that,
I would like to delete the entire last paragraph, water over the dam. I think it should, just beating a dead horse at this point, why do we bother to keep talking about it?
What, the party ours?
This is the
the one on
junkyard.
Mill Road.
Yeah, that's the 40 year.
I think it's worth mentioning though that it was proposed, we had the opportunity to do it. I think we don't need to.
Who's that, excess verbiage at this time was so far back, 2000.
Well, the only reason I concur with you, the only reason I thought it made some sense is that it is something that happened since the last master plan. And it was an opportunity to do something and we didn't do it.
Well, if it could be made a lot more concise, I guess I could go along with it.
Yes.
It's gone.
And it was never there because we never got water and sewer. We didn't do our steps in line.
But
So,
I always have a problem when I see words like narrowly defeated, to me that
I think we took that
speaks
out.
to,
Didn't we take that out?
No, it's
Yes.
still there.
Everything seems to be either narrowly defeated or narrowly passed.
Where is
I'm
it?
telling
Where is it?
It's the fourth
It's the
line
fourth
down.
line down in that last paragraph.
Narrowly defeated at town
Was
meeting.
it
in
narrowly
2000.
defeated? What
Yeah,
was the vote?
yeah,
Yeah,
Well,
a handful of votes, I think, but.
Yeah.
then,
Well, is
then
is
that's
that,
not a
is that
problem.
crucial to mention at this
Well,
point?
and
That's
it wasn't,
2008, you know?
if it didn't get defeated there, it might have got defeated at the ballot box. So
It never
It was
made it
defeated.
that
it
far.
never made it that far, so.
If you don't wanna take it out, cut it down to a sentence or something like that.
All right, okay. We'll work on that.
like some sentences that come after that, I think it's making a pitch for something. You say many residents feel that, yeah,
Yeah,
well.
no, you're right. No, the consultant, we took out broad, and maybe that's not enough. You're right. Yeah, it doesn't, I guess. Well, one reason though, let me just say that, one of the conversations we had last time was we talked about, bringing water to Route 1, we kind of said, well, we still wanna do that.
Yeah, right, that was the last
Is
meeting, right?
is the town really gonna pay for that? And, now that it's a solar farm, it's completely out of commission for 20 years, perhaps 30 years. The next property, which is JRM, we don't know. And so, having some readers, and myself included, having some history of knowing that there was something that was possible to go there, and now we have nothing, is kind of instructive about where we may be going with land use policy.
Well, we have a piece of economic ability right there with all the trucks that are parked there.
JRM?
JRM, the next construction company across the street, there must be 100 trucks that we probably aren't getting excise tax out of.
Well,
Whoa.
I think we are.
Yeah.
I think we are only, the reason I
No,
say
I know
this,
enough.
you do?
Yeah, because they're going to Wakefield for one part of them,
No, because I,
and the other one's going to Route 1 in Peabody.
when, how do you know that?
I can't.
Well, because I talked to Michelle about it when we did the TW excavating deal across from Angie, where Angie's Motors
Where
just moved to.
Angie's is.
Where Angie just moved. And that was done about 2 years ago. And, all of a sudden we looked at all those trucks and I said, you gotta make sure that you get the taxes on that. And she said, oh, I will. So I never followed up, but that
Well,
was
they're
2 years
registered
ago.
out of Woburn. Wakefield. Shouldn't please them.
Well, might be what, West Shore.
And then there's some on Route 1A that are in New Hampshire, the plates are on them.
1A.
Yeah, I think you ought to drive around.
1A, where are 1A?
Take a drive around.
Oh, you mean in,
You talking about Eddie?
Oh, Eddie does too, huh?
What do you mean two?
He's got a fleet too.
Well,
it's
But there's a whole bunch of people.
well,
Yeah,
your point is well
business in
taken,
New
but
Hampshire.
I thought we were getting the revenues from that. I did,
We're not.
okay.
And that's a, you know, if your industry is very low and all you're doing is having a few buildings with construction companies or a mini mover or a mini storage or whatever it may be, you've gotta get as much as you can out of it
I agree,
Yeah.
for the town.
I agree.
They're gonna pay it someplace.
No, you couldn't be more right.
And that's not hard to do,
Yeah,
you know? On our boats, what do we do, July 1st?
Yeah, I think so. I think
Any boat in
I
the
think it is
Parker
July
River
1st, yeah.
in July 1st has to pay an excise tax to Newbury.
Yeah.
Okay? What's the difference on a truck? If it's parked here on January 1st,
I agree. But I thought we did that, so I will,
well, see, the
I'll
problem
have a
is with a
conversation with
company, and they register trucks or cars, you know it yourself, you register to your business. And you may drive it home or may use it from someplace else, but you register to your business where your secretary pays the bills and the address is coming with the plates and then, but the trucks are over there, all parked. And that's not, you know, I mean, I'm not blaming the companies, but as a company, that's what you would be doing. You'd say, get all the permits, get all the stuff from our trucks. I mean,
Yeah, you centralize it, it
Yeah.
makes sense.
it makes sense. As a town collecting revenue, you say, listen, you park those in our yard, we want the excise tax,
I agree.
you know?
Especially if you look at the next 10 years and you look at Route 1 or where Pearson is, we're not getting anything major.
No, no, and you gotta grab at whatever you got. And I mean, it doesn't seem like a lot. I bet you those trucks,
Yeah, what is it per truck, approximately?
you know, my trucks are high.
We spend, even on a heavy trailer, $80-100 a year.
Yeah, on a trailer, a
Yeah.
small trailer.
Yeah.
Okay, you get into these trucks where the plates cost $2,800. The excise taxes are high. The trucks, a friend of mine just bought a tractor this week. He was $165,000 for the tractor. The plate was $2,800. The overweight permits were $180 per permit, and it goes on and on and on and on. And, you know, we gotta get a piece of it. $196,000 or $150,000 truck adds up.
We've got an hour to go,
Okay.
okay? Truck, growth potential, anything in here? Cause I think the most interesting stuff is gonna be at the end of this chapter. Development needs,
I didn't like the wording of the whole thing.
development needs,
Yeah. See, I got a comment, this is poor, needs major rework. Results of the survey found a majority wanted the town to stay the way it is. That's not what this says. This is like what we went through at the last meeting, basically. Town facilities is still a very controversial subject. It should just say that the situation must be addressed. Yeah, there's a lot of leading stuff in here and it, I didn't
Yeah,
like
but
it.
what's
I didn't think it
specific?
reflected what we talked about the last time, the last meeting we had here.
Well, they didn't make changes to it. They just wrote this,
Yeah.
and so they weren't here at the last
Yeah,
meeting.
right, they aren't here either, now either.
No, they're done, I'm just saying,
Is that right?
yeah.
We paying them?
The contract is done, so they've done their portion and we're doing the rest.
Well, if I can say so right here, I don't think they did a very good job. I thought they were poor.
How much were they, 50 grand?
Yeah,
Over the dam. Well, Fred, would you care to suggest a tightening up language, which is on point?
I hadn't gotten for that. We haven't had this very long.
Well,
You know how long we've had this.
Okay,
And
well,
I had town meeting to deal with.
Yes, you did a hell of a job.
And we had you to deal with it. So I guess what goes around comes around.
So do you wanna make some suggested edits and send them to me?
I can do that.
okay, so this is in the
Number
first,
two. Oh, God.
the first paragraph in development needs,
Is the camera on?
yeah,
Oh, so they're gonna hear me.
oh, yeah.
Nobody listens to it.
I don't know, I was driving around town the last time, and I'm like, everybody's giving me the thumb up, and I'm going, what the hell is that about?
That's true. No, but this is different, this isn't live, this is being recorded.
Yeah, but it gets back on.
Yeah, because they posted to the, meeting. All right, Fred, get Martha some comments on that, okay?
Yeah, okay.
Okay, turn the page. Resilience, infrastructure constraints, and public engagement support.
I gotta read my notes here.
I was pleased that they give a definition of resilience, whether I agree with it or not, at least it's there.
Let's see. Can't even read my own writing.
That's a rub, isn't it?
Well, all I can say is on Martha's comment, this pink comment at the end of the first budget, I don't think there's enough emphasis on the inevitable impacts that sea level rise is going to bring. I mean, it's one thing they're gonna try to prepare for this and all that kind of stuff, but you know, there are inevitable impacts that are gonna happen here.
One of the things that we are struggling with is that there's this resiliency analysis being done that, I don't know if you're a part of it, Martha and John O'Connell are part of it, that's being run by the Ipswich Watershed Group. And it's for the four
Six.
Ipswich, Essex, well, it goes all the way up
Essex to
to Salisbury. And they're about, where are they through their process?
And I think they're working still on the implementation plan.
And if you may remember, Fred,
Adaptation plan.
one of their representatives was at one of our meetings when we were still at town hall, maybe about a year ago. And she talked about the work that they were doing. I thought at the time that they'd be done by now, but they clearly are not. And so it looks like it's about another 3 to 4 months, but I got the impression from John O'Connell that we should be able to take an awful lot of what they're talking about and maybe not just incorporate it straight in, but have a basis of that to help us formulate what we wanna talk about. Because that's been a major outreach to the community, and they've had a lot of participation. So I'm not sure when that happens.
Yeah, I think the question was, since they weren't done, how much of that we could actually incorporate or whether we just
Just
refer to. So,
refer to the study.
you know, we'll have to see by the time we put this to bed.
Right, it's more like refer to the fact it's being done without endorsing it, because we
Right.
really have
Cause we
to
don't
pay a
know,
lot of attention
we
to,
don't know.
implementation, that could really,
Right, and we don't know yet if there's, this was a study that came out of Sandy money, but we don't know yet if there's any implementation money with the Sandy money. So
Right, and
until you
actually-
do know that, you do.
Right, they've applied for a grant that would actually enable them to start the implementation process, which would be helpful.
Yeah,
Because Sandy money gets you so far, and it's like,
You're done.
you're
right.
done.
When you look at Sandy money, it's well, the rebuilding down in New Jersey, right there where they got washed away, and
Yeah.
it really makes sense. I would argue
Did you
no.
see the pictures there?
I've
Yeah, they
seen some.
filled in the inlet and they built houses on it.
And that really does get into what sounds like nice implementation, but is a really good implementation. And I'm a long-term skeptic of how well things are implemented, or what is a priority, so I can see we reference it, it's out there, but we need to evaluate. I think I make that comment later on, well, it needs to be evaluated, not just swallowed wholesale.
You know, something we're working on. I mean, it's a federal flood insurance program that should be a federal flood. If you get your waste, you're destroyed, it should be a one-time fund that pays you off completely and you move on.
Right, exactly,
You move on.
exactly.
But
But
there's not
it
enough
isn't.
money to pay you off.
No, there is enough money, because if you go down the Mississippi River, the Missouri River, how many times do they pay those houses off?
Oh,
Too many.
Get down to, New Orleans, how much, I was down there, and the corruption was unbelievable. They were putting everybody in jail, mayors and governors and everything, for stealing from the billions of dollars that was down there.
Well, that sort of gets into a wide range of public policy stuff. Well, it should be a one-time buyout for the cap. So, yeah, you can build a $2 million house, but you're gonna get $250,000 one time, and then move on.
Well, you're actually better off if you paid them off on an agreed amount. In other words, if you're being taxed for $800,000 for that house,
Mhm.
and they pay you off in $800,000, you know that your house is worth $800,000. And they pay you off in that and you walk away.
right.
Then you ought to give them the $250 and they say, well, if that's all you're gonna give me, well, actually, you can buy more insurance.
Well, but that's the thing about how much insurance they're buying, $250,000 or $800,000 worth of insurance.
Mhm.
Chances are they're just buying $250K worth, then they get bought out. That came up about 10, 15 years ago, when the Oakland Hills, California fires, where suddenly people did have gold-plated bathroom fixtures in their 3 bathrooms, in these little shacks that really were 1-bathroom places. They got huge insurance payouts, because no one really wanted to chase them, to say, no, this is
But
fraud.
you gotta go back to the town's evaluation of your house. It's the simplest way to do it, and it's the fairest way for the government to work.
Did
And
any,
it's a one-shot
did
deal.
anybody take a buyout, from MEMA
On Plum Island,
on Plum Island?
one,
Yeah, I thought somebody did there.
a buyout completely.
Yeah, completely, yeah.
One, the one they moved back.
But what would they have had the capacity to buy?
No, I don't think it's the one they moved back.
No, he took $250,000 and moved back,
Seneca's?
yeah.
Really?
But how much,
Further
how
down.
much,
Well, the other people got $250, and then they sold the lots with permits.
Oh,
yeah, right, I knew that.
Yeah.
But
And they
what-
could be reinsured.
how much money did they have? Could they have bought all 6 properties that went into the drink and bought them outright and prevented any further development out
No,
there?
that would have been a FEMA acquisition grant.
That's
which
right.
We didn't,
We didn't have
we
it.
don't, we could make the cost benefit analysis work.
Oh.
We tried.
The town.
Mm.
Mike Riley worked on it.
Mhm.
We had meeting after meeting on that. And the fight to, if you own the property, it's yours, you have paid the insurance, they pay you, and you have the right to rebuild by the law. Okay?
Right.
it's either that or it's a taking, yeah.
It's a taking, and they
Mhm.
have to give you the whole sum. And it's the town that has to give you the whole sum,
Right,
not the state or the federal government.
right, that's the problem,
That's,
that's
I
right.
think, yeah, I think it was a 75-25 or something like that, if I recall
Yeah.
correctly, but.
Yeah, I think it was, we had to, or the individual had to come up with 25%, and that was too much.
Yeah, nobody,
Yeah,
we
numbers
can't
just
afford
didn't
it.
work.
Yeah, it's not gonna work.
Okay, but does that resolve, I mean, this discussion help you out a bit, Fred? I mean, we'll incorporate the work that's being done.
I'm just making a point, that's all,
Yeah,
and
no, I
we're
think you're right.
discussing it,
No, I
so.
think it's an important point.
It
that
is.
We need to
It's
figure out how
gonna
much
be
we
an
can-
issue to come. We're
Oh, yeah.
working on it all the time.
Absolutely.
We go back to it all the time.
Okay? So the new infrastructure constraints talks about water, sewer, things like that, public engagement. This is in here because of all the things that we got in the survey, this was one of the most important things that people talked about.
And one of the other things we got in the survey is that people didn't seem to care. They liked the town the way it was, and they wanted to stay the way it was, and they didn't seem to care.
Right.
Remember that one?
There's an app, there is that, but also then people were talking about, we don't know anything that's going on. The reason you've lost the last 3 attempts to get the municipal complex done is because no one knew about it. I mean, I'm not saying that's right, but that's what the survey told us.
Well, it's basically true. People don't know what's going on out there.
Right.
The information out of this town is terrible, and the way they get it to people is
Yeah,
terrible.
right.
Right,
It is.
so what this is an attempt to try to figure out, come up with some strategies and work for the selectmen and for the town administrator and others to improve all that. And especially in these 3 years, when we're all down here, or the town is down here, and, you know, you're half hour away, you know, I'm 20 minutes away, and it's much more difficult than
But-
when we were in the past.
But, you know, the television helps,
It
okay?
does.
Having a reporter that would report everything that goes on at every meeting would help.
Yeah.
Okay, and being open and not all of a sudden hear about something that wasn't spoken about at a meeting. You know, all of a sudden you hear about something, like I just heard that the Tuesday, I think it's next Tuesday, they're gonna have a meeting about a gazebo on Plum Island. How did that come up?
Who brought it up? Where'd you hear that?
Who's having a
It's
meeting?
in the
It's
paper.
a conservation application.
See?
See?
Is this the one on Northern Boulevard?
No,
I don't.
no, it's at the center. And why are we putting a gazebo before a toilet? And why wasn't that talked about?
Well, maybe it's part of this. I
Maybe
don't-
the gazebo has a toilet.
That's what I think.
Oh,
Yes, yeah.
You know,
No, but you understand what I'm saying? I find out roundabout about this, okay? It's no different than the sale of the property on Plum Island, and they're thinking about putting a restaurant with the old gas station. And how do they transfer it over? Nobody knows these things.
But one of it does seem that people read the paper,
Yes,
and so
To some
somehow to
Yeah.
get the stories into the paper,
Yes,
because
it is
even
in
playing
tomorrow.
Twitter and Facebook and everything else isn't, I mean, I notice it, I get my notices for meetings and agendas and whatnot, but I'm not sure, you know, other than the paper, it still seems to be the old-fashioned way to get the news
there's
out.
no question about that. The MRBA, which I started on Plum Island, I've had a reporter there from the beginning. Our last meeting was the front page of the paper.
Right.
And you
it
know.
usually is the front page.
Yeah.
Your meetings are usually front page of the paper.
Okay, and the reason I did that is because I wanted to inform everybody and not think we were having meetings behind people's backs with all these people. Because they are during the day, because, you get all your government officials during the day, especially on Friday when they can go home early, after the meeting. But that is a big thing, to have a good reporter reporting things. It really is, and we don't have those anymore.
Yeah, but Dyke is a very good,
No.
he is, he's a good reporter,
But that's what we need.
yeah.
I wonder what the percentage of the population that reads the local paper.
A lot, because they read it online.
Yeah, right. a
Yeah,
lot of
everybody
it.
does it. I get the hard copy because I'm old
I
fashioned.
just did the, how many people it goes to, it's 2,000 in our town, 2,000 and something,
Really?
2,000 households,
yes.
that's a lot.
Yeah.
I'm surprised.
Oh,
In this
That's
day
just
and
one
age, yeah.
It's like 350 newspapers and the rest is online. But they're reading the newspaper, as small as it may be, they're reading it, and they're getting their information from it. And we're not pumping it full of information.
yeah. So there's an opportunity, well, the point is, there's an opportunity here. We didn't actually, I don't think in the strategies it talks specifically about that, because it's rather pointed, you know, what you're saying.
Yeah.
But we could get a group to start thinking about that stuff and.
Well, there's no
pushing it
question,
out.
because when people hear about things last minute, they think it's behind their back.
Oh, no.
Even if they talked about it for 20 meetings,
Right,
you know?
right.
Yeah, I really believe the information's there, but you have to dig. If you don't get the paper, you can go to the website. If you don't have the website, you go to the library, read the paper, or get it on the web. But you
So-
have to dig at it.
So
But
what
that's
is,
old-fashioned.
what is
me.
Susan's job now? You know Susan, who's
IT.
from
IT.
Noise.
What's IT?
It's disseminate, among other things, disseminating information, you know, trying to get things out.
But she's no longer working on the Concom, or is she?
Well, she's an alternate on the Concom, but she's not staff.
Yeah.
for the
She's not
Concom.
staff.
But there are some things that we could do to up our take rate. And one of them is when we sign up, when we have an annual town meeting or special town meeting, when people come in, say, and with your hand stamp, give us your email, we'll sign you up for
Yeah, right.
these things that come
Good.
automatically.
But
That
you know
already
something,
happens. I
that
mean,
already happens.
Yeah.
It's not that that gets the information to them, it really is the newspaper. Because for some reason, it's like it's a gossip piece of paper.
Yeah, I know, I mean, I get it, I read
Well,
it.
a newspaper article also goes into more detail,
Yes.
at least of what you're talking about, whereas the notices are just an
Yeah, they're just
agenda of
telling you what
items
they
that
did.
don't tell you what they are, you know.
And if you get a good
background.
reporter at the meeting, they'll push you for an answer,
Right.
okay? They'll ask you like you do. You know, a good reporter will do that, and then they'll report it in the newspaper, and that gets people going. I know that when my friend Alan that died, that ran the Lawrence Eagle Tribune, I would give him anything to do with the beaches, and people in Lawrence, Haverhill, Methuen, that all rented a house for a week on either Hampton or Plum Island or Salisbury, wanted to know what was going on down at their favorite beach area. They wanna know. It's a very interesting area. And it sold newspapers on it. Alright, I'll stop.
No, but where we are is that we're at the goals and recommendations.
Oh, yeah, we haven't got off this page yet.
Yeah, you're done with that, aren't you?
No, I'm not, no, I'm not. Under public engagement support, I've got, something here that, it says, first sentence, that were widely supported but narrowly failed. They were widely supported, I wanna know how it failed. Obviously, it wasn't widely supported, yeah, it had support, but it had opposition to it, that's just, it's poorly worded, I mean, it just,
You're right, that were supported but failed.
well,
I don't know.
I don't know if
about
you-
that.
I don't know if we need to say
We
that
do,
either, but
but we did
I'm not
have,
reworking that one, I've got enough here, but I think that should be reworked a little
just
bit.
get rid of widely, and they narrowly failed. They did narrowly fail.
Yeah,
And they were supported.
that's all you gotta say is it was
If it's
narrowly
narrowly
failed.
failed, you don't need
Yeah.
to
You
support
know
it.
something, it doesn't matter.
Well, no, it sets the groundwork, 'cause people will come back and point
No,
to the
no,
master
we have my
plan
cookies left.
and say, see, this thing
Sure
was
we
widely supported, only narrowly fails. It is. what it
Fred, you
says.
done with that page?
Yeah, I'm a technocrat, it just, it wasn't right.
I know that. So what I'm gonna suggest is the goals and recommendations that we start on now are really all they're repeated in the, see if I'm right about this, Martha, can we just go directly to the implementation plan?
I think we should be able to.
Do you know what I mean? That we're not gonna be missing anything. And I don't wanna go through both of them, you know,
Well, it's just that this one, it does talk about maintaining a balanced tax base, and we talked about this at the last meeting. We don't have a balanced tax base today.
and we never will.
And we seem to be happy that way. We compared ourselves to West Newbury.
Yeah.
And, I don't think that's a big issue, the balanced tax base, from what we talked about.
I don't know how to rephrase this, but it has to be rephrased. And but I think that there's no way we're gonna go from 97.3 to 96.4, or 6, or whatever it is. We're just not gonna do it. We're not gonna pick up 3% of the value of like 500 homes overnight. So I think that what we talked about last time is still there, and I think that I have to digest all this and figure out how to rewrite this. I talked to Jeff about it today, by the way, in terms of wanted him to know, and Tracy, that we had this discussion last time, and that it looked like we weren't gonna go all out, you know, for what has traditionally been the answer to Newbury's problems, and they both said, well, that sounds reasonable. So,
That's the thing, you want a master plan that's realistic. You
yeah.
don't want a pie in the sky that doesn't get anything done.
So I think that's gotta be done, and so maybe we should then go through this, maybe I'm wrong.
I know I have
And-
a lot of comments on that, so I'm happy to.
You are happy to, alright, then
go
fine.
through it, yeah.
Alright, okay. So then let's go through the goals and recommendations. You may not have any comments about these, I know we can go directly, you know, pretty quickly and get to the implementation. But on this issue of, I mean, moderate, the first one I think is correct, right? Fred, retain town character, and this moderate the impacts of growth, and you still you wanna do that, but maintaining a balanced tax base is just simply a misnomer.
Right, exactly, that was my only comment.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
However, when we get down to encourage housing and development diversity, I think we do wanna get to a
Yep.
point where we encourage a broad mix of housing options.
It's a great goal, it's probably pie in the
Difficult.
sky, but it's a great goal.
And you don't wanna get rid of it.
No.
Yeah.
No.
And then on this next one, a highway-oriented commercial mixed use, I don't think we'd ever thought that Scotland Road was one of these, am I right?
I don't think we have,
I think that's wrong.
I missed that.
it's the deadline.
It's really Pearson Plaza and.
Right.
Right, exactly.
Route 1.
Okay.
Right, I agree with that. And but I also would like to say that at the end of that sentence on the next page, it says that the bridge that goes over the railroad track and Interstate 95 that's hindering, that doesn't hinder anything. That doesn't hinder any utilities, you can put utilities under bridges, that doesn't belong there, that last.
Where are you? Where are
Second,
you?
the second page there,
So,
top of it, it's talking about the bridge which goes over the railroad track in Route 1 and the bridge over Interstate 95 at Central Street. It impedes, how's the word? Constraints, it's constraints.
But
That's not a constraint.
they've all got the conduits in them.
The what? Yeah, well, there
They
you go,
have the
I don't know,
conduits in them.
I don't know, but that doesn't,
I
there's no
worked there, I
constraint
know.
there, there's no constraint there.
We put the condos in the Parker River too, to put water and
Yeah, I
sewer
know
over
that,
there.
yeah,
I pushed hard for that.
I know they're
On
there.
the Parker River Bridge?
The people over there have bad water. So I figured if at any time the city came down farther with water, it would be no problem, they go into the conduit, bring it across, and you're done.
Yeah.
So I pushed hard at that time to raise the bridge a little bit, which would, I think I got 6 inches out of it, and I got all the conduits in it. And my friend, Mike on the other side said, Ron, you'll never get that done. I go, watch. You just push and push, go to every meeting.
Doesn't cost anything to do it
Do
when
it,
you're
no,
there.
you just push every meeting, and finally they put it into the plan. And the railroad bridge has the same thing, cause I worked on the railroad.
Which railroad bridge?
Route 1.
Parker
Route
River.
one.
Route 1, right before.
Oh,
Cherry.
okay, I got you.
Over this way.
Yeah. Okay, what else on this page? Byfield Village,
Well, I got a comment here in the first paragraph, it's not going to happen.
what?
Just a general statement, why have I got that there, let's see. I just felt that, I don't know why I did that, I was getting tired.
Never leave with that.
I just thought it was unreasonable to,
I don't see where Byfield Village has more capacity than other
Right.
sections to accommodate new
I
development.
guess that's what it was, yeah.
I don't get that.
It does, cause it
Not
has water
significant.
and good soil, but she doesn't say that. The soils in Byfield are better than in most parts, certainly the middle part of the town, and they've got water.
Is that 40B gonna go in?
Well, the meeting is when,
It's being submitted tomorrow night to the ZBA.
yeah,
the
Well, this
application.
is Byfield Village though.
Right.
Right.
but it's called
Smaller.
Byfield. It should be said Byfield.
Yeah,
Yeah, instead of.
It does say
Byfield.
Byfield Village,
Yeah,
yeah,
it's
right.
Get rid of village.
Thank you.
okay.
All right, okay, yeah, that makes a difference.
So is that 40B gonna be pushed through by the state?
Probably.
Of course,
Well, and they gave the project, letter of project eligibility, so.
So
They don't grade it, they
don't
just say
grade it,
it's
They
eligible.
just say it's eligible based on their criteria.
And is there water down there?
There is
Yeah.
water down there.
So all they have to do is put some type of septic system in that will work?
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
gonna put in a shared septic
Shared
system.
septic,
that's what's
shared
proposed.
septic.
Where's this going?
You know, Pearson
Oh, yeah.
Road,
Pearson Drive.
Pearson Drive,
drive, yeah.
So the public hearing will start in
24 units.
30 days,
24?
24 units.
24, 6 of which will be affordable. Which is, when you really, I mean, it's not not that bad, it's just that,
They're not affordable.
oh, I don't know, nobody's seen any data.
When you have houses that are worth $500,000-600,000, and you whack them down to $250,000, and you still have to find a person to get a loan for $250,000.
Yeah, you got a great argument there, that's a big problem with the whole program.
And it happens
Not affordable.
everywhere. I mean, Salisbury, it's not bad because it's affordable, but in towns like Newbury or West Newbury or something like that, they're really not affordable until somebody has a real job.
You're absolutely right.
That's beyond our purview, for better or worse.
Well, they're not, in defense of them, they're never supposed to be housing for low-income households. That's not the.
It's not supposed to be housing for.
No, this is not a
Great.
program for low-income households.
What's it for?
It's what they call low, moderate income households.
For people who
Well,
are.
I mean moderate, not
Yeah,
low
low to
moderate.
I mean, it's not,
Yeah,
and they put an affordable price on it, and they keep it there.
Is that why they can resell them after a while for the high price?
It all depends on the community that they're in and the restrictions that the state imposes. The state can say, and it typically says, that they can appreciate an equity position of what they put into it and what they've invested into the property. And they can get a certain amount of increase, but they can't just sell it for market value. If you bought it for $250.
But how do they stop you?
Oh, because they manage it. The guy who does the project manages every sale.
The second one I'm talking about.
Ah, well, then you've got a good point.
Not the first one,
I
the
understand.
second.
Well, they manage the whole thing. It's why, to be honest, I used to do this stuff, and we got out of it and just wound up doing apartments, because you can keep them affordable forever, because you're the owner, and there's no transfer of ownership. And so that's you, but in this project here, this will not be apartments, this will be
Right, this is all
for
ownership
sale.
units.
It's single units too, right?
Yeah, they're detached.
I never had to get involved in that. Malden had met that requirement, never had to get involved.
Well, it's not, it's,
One of the few communities that met it.
you've gotta have somebody out there who really knows what they're doing, and there are a lot of Boston guys who really know what they're doing, and they do great work. We were a little disappointed to see that the consultant who they have for this project, who his father really invented the whole thing, the 40B stuff, and the quality of the work wasn't great. So we were a bit disappointed to see that.
I hate to break the news, but the quality of the work on the Newman Road houses isn't very good either. $3 million houses.
You mean, how do you know? You mean you've walked through
I see what
them?
they build them out of,
No.
junk.
It's more than 3 million. One was 19,
What?
What?
No.
the father's house.
No.
Oh, does that include the barn? Okay.
9.
What's it getting assessed for, let me guess?
But the thing is they put things in and tear it out. You know, I mean, you put $500,000 worth of stuff in it, you don't like it, you tear it
Not
out.
to drag this out, but the ones they built first down on Chick's property, the biggest one of those, the building permit was 3.2, something like that, $1 million. And it's assessed for way less than that. I went to the assessors and asked them about that. They said, well, they'd never be able to sell it for that. That was their argument. So they aren't getting their full assessment.
Right.
Well, let's move on.
Yeah, right. I didn't wanna draw this out on that.
Okay. Anything further on Byfield?
No.
Okay, next page. Route 1A corridor. So these, what they're talking about here, these are the development opportunity areas,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
land use vision for all these areas.
Yeah, well, Route 1A corridor, the second paragraph, the whole second paragraph is in direct conflict with one of the first things I had in the questionnaire, the responses to the questionnaire, protecting the rural character. Gone under this.
So this is one of those things that if you looked at our suitability map and the soils map,
Yeah.
you'd see that the best soils in town are right up and down the Route 1A corridor. And, it's got water.
And you develop all that, and the rural character is gone.
I'm just trying,
Yeah.
I'm not denying it.
And
The guy who we just had in here,
there's no real way to prevent it. Yeah,
it would, just took out a property out of 61A.
yeah.
That-
Oh my God, the guy
That
that
was
had the
true.
2 houses?
Adam True.
255.
255
the old
High Road,
racetrack.
the old
Oh,
racetrack.
the old racetrack? The other guy wants to do it too, the one that built his barn into a house and then finished his house.
That's
He
the one.
wants-
We're not sure, but,
No, the old racetrack is farther down.
yeah, you mean Arthur.
Arthur, right.
Yeah.
He's not come back in. He was in, we thought he was gonna do something about a year ago, we haven't seen him in a year.
Because that's in the same thing, right?
Same thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right next door, the Ilsley property, which is, he has a couple of greenhouses in behind there,
Yeah.
same thing, he's gonna do that.
So it's a contradiction.
Yep.
It's some of the best land,
And it was.
it's got great views,
But it was sold at a cheap price,
which,
and those properties, and the government paid so much, and then the people paid 50,000 to leave it in green, so you can mow it, okay, or make hay out of it, and now they're bringing it back out.
they have the right to do that.
Yeah,
The
yeah,
way
yeah,
the way 61A works is that, unless the town has the right of first refusal to buy it,
Right.
and they've never
Town
exercised,
never
as far as I
does.
know, the town has never exercised.
Alright, so at any time, all you have to do is pay the difference back to the state?
3 years,
Roll
yeah.
back taxes, I
3
thought it was
years.
5.
Really? I thought it was
think so.
3
I
years.
think it's 5 years.
5 years you have to,
Roll
Back
back
taxes.
taxes.
but what about the money that the state paid on the other part of the land?
I don't know anything about that.
They don't for
They don't-
61A.
they
It's
don't
just a
pay.
tax-
It's
a
just a tax
tax-
forgiveness,
Essentially, it's a tax break
tax
for
break.
either agricultural or recreational use.
Oh, 61A is agricultural,
Yeah.
61B is
Right.
recreational.
61B
Yeah,
is
but yeah, but
recreation,
it's the same.
same
payback.
principle,
Yeah.
Mhm. Different rates.
right. And so a lot of 61A is up and down
Oh, there are, I'm sure, yeah.
1A.
Right, right.
So that the owner gets a hayfield price on taxes, and we get to look at beautiful land.
And you
Yeah.
get to look at beautiful land until
Yeah.
such time as he or she decides, oh, let's take this out of, agriculture. And
Or they
they
die.
go through an arduous process, I mean, it's not easy, but it's never failed, I mean, they always are successful.
Lots of times they die and the kids can't pay the real estate.
Well, that's
I
kinda-
mean, the income, I mean, the,
Inheritance.
the
That's what happened,
tax, they have to
Hurley
sell the land.
owned this
Yeah.
land, which
Yeah.
was the racetrack, and, the kids didn't want it, and so they put it on the market, and got some interest and decided, let's take it out. So Adam True, who was the son of Rick True, Rick True, who's your neighbor, right?
Used
Right
to.
down here.
He's over in Salt Spring.
Oh, really? I didn't know that. Well, yeah, that's interesting.
Did you
Because he
used to
wanted
go
to
the
expand.
playhouse?
Back there.
Pardon?
Did you ever go to the
And he
playhouse
couldn't.
there?
The which house?
The playhouse,
No,
the lady had plays there, the
So
one
that's
at,
what happened.
No,
Old
no.
Town Hill.
no.
Mm.
Oh, I know what you mean, no.
No, that's at the racetrack.
Yeah, that's the barn.
It was a playhouse.
Yeah, that's the barn, and we just approved his renovation of that, but he has to keep the barn. He can't tear it down, and, he's gotta keep it for as long as he owns the property, and even if he sells it, the barn can't be torn down.
But it was a playhouse.
Yeah.
They used to have plays there.
Yeah,
All the people would come in their carriages and,
You know, I think
Hello, Clay.
one of the realities with 61A is it's not well policed, or
right.
there's a lot of, I mean, you don't have to generate much income. You have to generate some income, and you can pretty much pony that up. I
Yeah.
think if you've got the acreage, what is it, 5 acres?
Acres.
$500, yeah.
So there's a lot of that 61A that's bogus, and even that racetrack, he developed the whole place, both sides of it, and then he just had basically a lawn in between the houses that was somehow in 61A.
Well, it was being hayed, so I think
I was
that
gonna
was.
say, knowing what they get for a bale of hay, it wouldn't take a lot of hay to make up $500, 100 bales. Yeah.
okay. All right, enough of that. Route 1A corridor, any other comments about
Let's
this?
see, oh, yes, absolutely. Third paragraph, the upper green comments. And I guess I can, well, that's coming up later too, so I'll just hold this to that, but it's talks about, and landscaping, as landscaping and playfield improvements. This is a historic green. My wife's on the historic committee. It should not have anything like that. It should be just there as it is, a historic green. No playfields, that kind of stuff. It should be an open area like it is. And it is part of a historic district. That is the only historic district in town, so.
One of the recommendations they made was to make this a permanent town open space.
Yeah,
which
they've got,
apparently-
there's a
which
comment
apparently
in
it's
there
not.
further on about that.
Apparently it's
Apparently
not.
not, I don't know.
So that'd be worthwhile.
It's
Yeah.
not, neither of the greens is permanently protected.
Yeah, see,
Right,
so,
yeah.
so, just building on what you just said, if we keep it as a historic green, then we ought to make it a permanent open
Absolutely.
space.
But
Absolutely.
even as it is, as open space, kids go down there and play soccer,
They just do
Oh,
everything.
yeah.
They
Oh,
do
yeah.
everything.
Oh, yeah.
Just-
Yeah.
you know, it's not,
But you're not
It's an
putting,
informal,
yeah, but you're not putting permanent structures up there. Yeah.
Right.
no,
Well, we put the backstop up. We made
There
it
there was a
look-
proposal by, what's his name, Ablow's kid to, he went before the selectmen, and he wanted to put bronze
yeah, I
cows
saw it, I
on
saw
it.
that, I saw that.
Walkway, brick walkways, I mean, brick doesn't belong there, that's an urban thing,
Yeah,
you know.
I don't know where they were from, where are they from, some school?
New York City.
Yeah,
Where they were.
I don't know, but those
Yes,
things,
They-
you know, well intended, but those things don't belong there. He wanted to plant sugar maples all around it, and I talked with Tim Lampley, cause I got a little bit of knowledge of street trees, and I said, I don't think that that's the right tree to plant there. Absolutely not. I said, they don't like wet feet, that's wet. Yep, he says, you're right. And I won't even go in any further, but what they wanted to do just didn't fit there.
Okay,
Even this talks about sidewalks.
ooh,
I know this particular paragraph.
well, but one of the things that they've talked about here, which I do support, is sidewalks on Route 1A.
We do
They've
that.
Yeah, right.
But they need upgrading.
Oh,
They
they're
are
awful in some
atrocious.
places.
Now, why can't you make the state fix those?
Of
Yeah, it
course,
should
that
be.
is,
No,
that's
it would
state
be. It would be.
responsibility,
It
state
would be,
roads.
but we've gotta get it, we've got it in the transportation plan, don't we? Don't we have it in,
I believe we did.
don't you have it in there?
You had the road resurfaced, how many years ago was it now?
Not that long ago.
No, not that.
And it happened unfortunately just before their emphasis on having
Complete streets.
accessibility.
Yeah, you mentioned this
complete
before,
streets.
right.
And so you missed out, so we're gonna have to wait probably another 10 years.
No,
before they
really?
come back and,
And you can't do it separately.
You
you
can't.
try.
Hey, I
Try.
got Lenny Mira to finally get Park River
Let me tell you
signs for
something,
Park River
I
Bridge.
mean, it's dangerous.
Maybe we
I
can
mean,
do,
every day, there are women and men, and women with strollers and kids who are running in the roadway, or walking in the roadway.
well, the runners are gonna continue to do that, but hopefully you could get the strollers off.
But
yeah.
if you could get them on, the on a decent pavement on the side, I mean, that's
Exactly.
really, to me, I think it's a major issue.
When I was a kid, that sidewalk ran all the way from the Newburyport line to Park River Bridge, with one little exception, right at Cottage Road, and that was the only exception.
Yeah, well, you can't do it, right? Is it because of the triangle, or the triangle?
Yeah,
is
that's
there?
right, that's why, yeah, I think so. That was the only
When I was
exception.
working on the water and sewer in Plum Island, and I wanted to widen the road because it was so dangerous with people
Yeah.
bicycling and whatnot on
Yeah,
it.
you had good success there.
I did,
Yeah.
but I also ran it with, we put the boardwalk in at the same time, and rails to trails. Jerry and I put everything together, and then we pushed it onto, they have to dig anyways, what's the difference if we cover it? And we got them to do the whole thing at once.
That's great.
It was a lot of work. Bob Connors took the credit for it. And we were like,
You don't
really?
care.
No,
You don't care about that.
it was like unbelievable.
Okay.
Now, just a question, because I bike all over, and I see that, you know, the wider roads, one, for bikes, it's good, but I also see a lot of people where you have a wide shoulder and a line, it works out well, and it works out well for plowing, keeping it clear.
Yeah, like where you.
You're talking about pushing it back,
Yeah, I'm talking about pushing it back.
yeah.
Because that, you know, it doesn't separate the sidewalk from the road. It's not as good as that.
No.
but in a lot of areas, I would think that would be a lot cheaper, and we could do a lot more of that than
Yeah.
putting in sidewalks.
That's why I'm saying
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
You know, we have a problem in Plum Island because the width is only so much.
Yeah.
So we just goofed it from there to the point where we had the boardwalk. We said you could bike there, but that was the most important thing, to get that wide.
Yeah, that works.
Yeah,
I mean,
it was a
really
lot
does.
of work though to get it to be wide, because we had to go through DEP and everything else on that.
Mm-hmm.
And what really gets me though, is all these people who stop to look at a bird and just park. And now the bicycles have to go out around them, the runners, and now you jammed it up again.
You got it in for the bird nerds?
Yeah, yeah, they just stop and park.
I can't believe, I'm a bird nerd.
Would you do that?
I would absolutely do that.
That's why I have a rink truck. I have to bring you with me.
He stops to look at the snowy owl on the big house.
Absolutely. I've got a snowy, I do have a picture of a snowy owl from out there.
The snowy owl goes on my roof every winter,
Yeah,
and all of a sudden, one person sees it.
and then you're
And
done.
my whole
Well, they-
place is full of cars.
Yeah,
Yeah.
on the phone, I can see it now, yeah.
It's like, what the hell? I can't get out.
In the national parks, we call those moose jams, bear jams.
Yes, that's good. That's good.
The,
Do you have
paragraph,
anything else here?
1, 2, 3, fourth paragraph, second line, talks about
Small craft
the, car top and small craft boating access, it's trailered boating access. Small
No.
craft makes it sound like a,
No,
Kayak or something.
it's kayak.
yeah,
Small craft is kayak.
right, and this
And
is
they
trailered.
fought to get their equipment without a sticker put into launching rooms.
Is that a town decision, a state decision?
I think it was a state decision.
Oh, is it a state decision?
I think it was. I think they pushed it on. You know, they went to the state complaining that they couldn't pull up, take their,
Well, you're
Kayak.
talking, you're talking about what, on Plum Island Turnpike?
no, I'm talking about any launching ramp.
Well, they can't have any control over our launching ramp, cause it's our launching ramp, it's not a state launching
I
ramp.
understand. I'm just telling you what they did.
Yeah.
And they can launch anyways with them. And they launch right down by the bridge, they launch here, they
Yeah, well, I
launch
know
there.
that,
The only problem they have is parking.
right.
Yeah.
The only thing we can stop them from
Right.
is parking. We
Right.
can't stop them from launching.
Oh, but they gotta be a town resident to use town facility.
No, they don't.
Yeah,
The-
they
The
do.
river's open, it's a
Yeah.
chapter 91, is
Who's
it?
checking on that?
Yeah,
Well,
it used to be that it was closed for
Right.
canoes and kayaks unless you were
A town resident.
of the town.
Who checks
Right.
on
And I don't know.
I think it was, it's a chapter 91 that has to do with the right
Yep.
of ways for the water.
Yes.
Yep, one
And
ninety-one.
that's what they fought and got.
Well, they're right about chapter 91.
Yeah.
I've read chapter
I
91.
remember it
That's
happening
not
and I was
true.
like,
Well, chapter 91 has mostly to do with a physical facility located on the water must be water dependent. That's what chapter
No,
91
chapter
is all about.
91.
Oh, there's a lot of stuff in it.
chapter 91, like if you're a Newburyport, you know what Michael's Harborside is?
Hmm.
There's a place where you walk down to the ramp.
Yeah.
And it's got boards over it.
Mhm.
They can never close that in because that's
I,
part of
I get,
chapter.
I get that,
It's different,
I get that.
I think it's different here, but, you know, the town must have a 91 license for the property there.
Don't
Yeah.
bet on it.
Don't bet on
I would say they don't.
Well, they use
It's not that in the night, you know
they
that.
use the National Guard to put it in.
Oh, they put it in almost overnight, I know
And the
that.
National Guard did it.
All right, hey, listen, something near and dear to your heart, we're talking about
Plum
Plum
Island.
Island now. You and Steve can just write
Oh, we'll have a
something,
battle.
and you know what,
Steve,
Fred-
the one that wants nobody on Plum Island.
Fred's not allowed to talk about
He
it.
nicely skipped over the last stuff that Martha's got in pink here.
He did.
Yeah. Yeah. Talking about, let's see, the protection.
What could help achieve this?
How can you, what can you do? You can remove the pavement and the gravel that they've got there and reinstitute the grass, except you keep a smaller area for gravel next to the launching ramp. and you make a picnic area, where I have a table I donated, you can make that area a picnic area next to the bridge, which is not town property, that's part of the state property, but that's neither here nor there. And I just give an example of how Rowley treats theirs. I did a little research here, and if you go over to Rowley, they have a launching ramp like ours. Theirs, I think, got put in by the state, so they have to allow other people to use it. But they have a small gravel parking lot, and then they have a much larger overflow area, which is a small field, and that's where they park the overflow. You have to realize how this works out there. Most days, there's only clammers or half a dozen, or maybe a dozen trailers there. Saturdays and Sundays, it's busy, it's lots of them. So you could park on the grass for 2 days of the week, and you wouldn't do any damage to the grass. You'd return it to the
Talk
way.
about the lower green.
You could return it to the way it used to look. Remember, this was given to the town of Newbury as a park by Mrs. Bushy.
Right.
Right now, it is a parking lot, and it looks like hell. It looks like hell. A lot of people laugh about it.
So let me ask you, how did that happen?
I couldn't tell you.
And
Well, the previous.
when did Bushy give it to us?
Oh, God.
50 years ago, 60 years
No,
ago?
not so long ago. I think it was part of her will,
Oh, then,
Might have been 40,
but I'm not sure.
because she had restrictions on other
Yeah,
properties for
yeah.
30 years that
Yeah, right,
expired, so
right,
probably at
right.
the same time.
Right, but, how it got paved,
I guess it's.
somebody had ground up pavement that,
Yeah,
was
but
for
I'm
free,
thinking,
and
what were
they,
the forces? It must have
former
been,
harbor master said, put it here.
must have been the clammers who wanted it.
I couldn't tell you. I think
I'm
it's,
just guessing.
I think it's just a question of they wanted it paved so they didn't have to mow it, or what. I don't know, I don't have an answer to that,
But what is,
but it looks like hell.
but what's the point?
Well, the point is, it was given to us as a park, and it's a parking lot.
Okay.
That's not right. I can see using some of it for parking.
But what are you gonna do when you sell all these stickers to town people?
Oh, I know, that's a problem.
To put their boats in the water, and the Saturday comes
And
along
there's no
and it's
space to
90
put 'em.
degrees,
And they can still park on that grass.
Well, then,
but what are you gonna do?
there's no place to park except for up on the grass.
No.
If you put a park where the parking lot is.
I'm saying grass it, so it looks better, so it looks somewhat
and
like
there's
a
still
Yeah, but
park on it?
the salt water will kill it,
What salt water?
coming out of
Come
all
off
the
the
boats.
trailers.
That's kind of insignificant, I don't think so.
Oh.
I don't think it did before, so.
All right, you know what? Come
I
on.
don't think that's important. I think we sell the tickets to the people, and unfortunately, we have to find a place to park them.
Well, I understand that. Doesn't seem to kill the grass in Raleigh.
Yeah, we sell a lot of things, and sometimes you reach capacity and you have to shut down.
Does Raleigh have as many clammers?
No, Raleigh has hardly any clammers, but they have more recreational trailers than we do, because
That's their own
Georgetown
thing.
people go there.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, cause you can pay at Pearl's
Oh, I
and
don't
launch
know.
your boat.
Oh, well, that's true, but
And
I'm
you
talking
get-
about the town facility.
Okay. All right, Plum Island.
Yeah,
Ready?
All right, go Steve.
Well, second line, I don't think businesses unduly restricted on Plum Island, just, say you have to find a spot where you can get zoning to do it, or go to the ZBA and get rezoned or whatever. I don't see we necessarily wanna discourage businesses.
Well, actually, you can't expand, the existing businesses are grandfathered, but you can't put in any new businesses
Right.
under the PIO.
So they are pretty well restricted.
Could you go to the ZBA and change a gas station to a restaurant?
I think you could
Sure.
probably change a
Oh, yeah.
business use, but you couldn't change something from residential to business.
Yeah, so that's
Yeah.
what Angie's gotta do, or the
Right.
people who bought Angie's.
But as Rick
But that's
talks about-
possible.
is it more
Yeah, I think it's
detrimental or
possible.
not? This is just a simple question, is that?
It would be less detrimental than.
Probably.
Yeah,
But they do talk about expansion and reconstruction of presumably existing houses and businesses should be discouraged, and I don't know if that's quite the right wordsmithing, given the PIOD. I think it'd be nice to see if it was done in accordance with the PIOD,
yeah, that would be nice.
which.
I'm sorry, restate that? Where are you?
First sentence, they
Due
have
to
an
the existing
expansion-
density?
Yeah, expansion or reconstruction of houses and businesses should be discouraged. I think it's,
But it
That's
says-
not a good word, I had that, yeah, that's not a good word.
So what do you wanna say?
it should be allowed to the extent that the PIOD allows it.
How about regulated?
Or should follow the regulations of the PIOD.
Should follow the regulations
Yeah,
of the
that's
PIOD.
right.
Well, actually,
Yeah.
the 35-foot height, our building inspector tried to get it changed, so that it would actually be a 35-foot height, and, it got kinda slammed by our politicians before it made it to town meeting. But that's something we should, do, because houses are going too high.
You're talking about 35 feet height from the ground, not from
It's the
the
It's
platform.
called the mean height.
mean,
Yeah.
mean
Yeah.
level of the ground to
Right,
the mean height of
height,
it.
right.
She knows it.
Yeah.
Mean grade.
I know
It
well.
actually should be a 35-foot house, like it is the rest of the.
That's what it should be.
You mean the
But that's
highest
not what
point?
it is. In
The
fact,
highest
so,
point,
so you wind up with variations on this thing.
right. And, you know, because if you put it on a dune and you go from this height, you gain
So I think we
16
should put,
feet.
you know, Sam has talked to us about that along with the ZBA, and they would like us to work with them on exactly this thing, and maybe we should just put it in here
We
as
should
a,
put
as
it
a
in
work
there.
item, as a
Yeah.
work item for the planning board to do, cause
This-
we've been a little slow to get to it, to be honest.
It's very, very important.
It is.
Yes. We have people that build houses to just 35 feet, they look good. And then we have these people that put these giant points out and they build a third floor after everybody leaves.
Right.
Am I right, Steve?
Oh, yeah, I could, happy to lead you on the tour.
No, I know the tour, I mean, I know, you know them. I
You
mean,
can see
drive
it.
out there, you go, what is that?
How did that happen, all right? And I think that's the most important thing that we could do for Plum Island,
Okay,
is keep it at 35 feet.
okay. Now,
And not mean 35.
one of the things that we
35
have
feet.
talked about is, where is Newburyport on this?
They're at 35 feet.
Are they? I thought they were
Who
not.
cares?
They were 35.
Well, because it's all PIOD.
Mean height.
Yeah, but it's new report, this is no.
Newburyport's much lower than us.
I'm not so sure about that.
I've measured quite a few of them.
And when, the regulations, when they were done, the height definition was the same. So maybe it's changed since, but at the time it was
Yeah.
mean
I
And
grade.
just-
height definition is still the mean grade to the mean,
Height of roof.
Right.
mean height of roof.
Newburyport does things different, like
Yeah.
on the Newburyport section of Plum Island, you can be all decked out right up to the property line, because the deck.
Right, right.
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 Right, we know that.
Don't bring up the report, they
So-
allow houses
Right.
behind houses, they allow houses with no frontage.
Well, you're in,
Don't
you're in
get, don't
section
involve
one
in
of
the
the
report
city.
with Newbury.
So you have the rules of the section one of
Really?
the city,
Well,
which is hard to
the
deal with.
PIOD is both is both.
That
both
may be, but
municipalities.
Newbury should just,
When
take
we,
care of
when we were
themselves.
doing the PIOD, we had to, Newburyport is in zone one of their area, and they zone for zone one, which has 2-3 family housing. And we're in that zone, okay? They would have to rezone Plum Island from being
I
the
mean,
number one. So we had these problems, and we said, all right, we'll do the major things, which is how much a percentage you're gonna put on a lot, which is 20%.
Right.
And it's 25% in Newburyport, because they let the decks come.
Well, they don't count decks. as
Yeah,
part of
right,
the
but it
lot.
makes
So
it
it turns
25
out to be
Be
25%,
covered.
but it says 20.
It says 20, but it turns out to be 25% covered.
Right.
Okay, there's little things different between the city and the town, only because of the regulations in both. But the PIOD, the whole thing is that you get to 50% of fixing your house, you have to tear it down, put it on the poles, lift it
So,
up.
so based on your experience with it, if we were, and I'm not saying we would do this, but if we, you know, get a group together and we start to study this thing, we work with Sam, and we say that the height on Plum Island is 35 feet, we can do that unilaterally and not affect the PIOD in the city of Newburyport.
Right. Because you have to have, you know, there's certain rules that are yours in your city or town.
I don't mean to do this, but is he right?
Well, they were done in conjunction, the only difference at the time was the lot area requirement. They allowed 12,000 square feet, and we kept the underlying zoning of 40,000 square feet, but everything else was supposed to be the same. But interpretation by the two towns and.
I mean, the zoning is,
very
zoning,
different.
really, the zoning on
It was-
Plum Island is 40,000 square foot lots?
For our section, yeah.
Yeah.
It's the best. isn't
Yeah,
it?
it's all one zoning district, right? Yeah, right.
And see, I put together the planning and the Comcom to meet together. And Jerry Clymer did all the, work,
Mhm.
you know, to put it together. And we would meet together and go over all these things. Were you there then?
I was in the beginning,
Yeah.
not all the way through, but the
Right.
beginning discussions.
It was a lot of work, you know, and then we came down to what is a bedroom?
Right, right,
And,
right,
you know, what's the definition of a bedroom?
right.
Does it have a closet in the door? Does it have this? Does it have that? And so we finally said, what does the state call a bedroom? That's it. I mean, that's how,
Yeah, well, that's good.
They go to the dictionary.
yeah,
Well, we reverted to Title V and how that defines bedroom, I think is what we ended up.
it was the state,
Yeah,
the state.
right, exactly.
Yeah, we left it with the state, because we got so complicated into the, you know, what is a bedroom? Cause you could go from 1 to 2, 2 to 3 bedrooms,
Three max,
but you could do that.
right, right.
And what was a bedroom, and how the house was laid out. How many floors? 2. Well, when you go over 35 feet, you got 3 floors. When the building inspector leaves, right, you get another floor.
And there's also the floor area ratio.
Yeah.
as we-
But the other part of the dilemma of what's going on up there is that now we're requiring, you know, people to be, you know, 10 feet off the ground.
Well, that's always been there. That went
Has
with
it always been?
Yeah.
Well, it's the
No.
flood
No,
elevation.
it's higher now.
Well, the flood elevation's
Higher.
higher.
Right, right.
Right,
All I'm
right.
saying is that, and the higher that goes, the higher the type
No,
of house goes.
no, it doesn't.
Yeah, but
You
it,
have to squash the house down.
yeah, but
But what do
isn't
you
that
want
what we're
for?
seeing?
That's
That
the-
they aren't squashing the house?
Right, that's what I'm talking about. They're putting a V on the top.
That's right.
Depends upon how you
Right.
word it.
Yeah,
Well,
it's.
But this is a very important thing to
Let me
say.
ask you, can we do this on our own, or do we need to have a community meeting and do it that way?
I think you put it together, right? It has to go to town meeting.
Right, but what about people meeting with Plum Island residents?
You're gonna have, I know a few that are gonna come and see you,
Mm,
and they're gonna be very forceful,
mm,
because they
Okay.
build on the island,
right,
and their cousins build on the island.
okay,
I'll have a meeting in Peter Hall sometime. That's my recommendation.
yeah, okay,
Post it.
But this, it's a very important thing, it's a tool in Sam's thing, and the people are tired of everybody getting blocked off with big house.
yeah, I don't blame them.
My next comment was on line 5, where, you know, to help protect existing houses and to accommodate town residents and visitors. I would say town residents, period, to the
Where's
Woodbury
line 5?
master plan.
Give them the next page.
I hear that.
It's all in the Plum Island.
I only
One,
got
two,
4
I
lines.
got 4 lines.
Yeah.
Yours?
Yep.
Yeah.
Good. I've got more.
Expansion.
She
of
went to
open
the next
space and
page,
recreation.
all right. Oh, yeah, that is the next page, town residents, yeah, it is the next page.
Would, accommodate town residents and visitors.
I knew he'd be on that, I knew it.
We just had a meeting at Pitter Hall, the MRBA, and the police gave tickets out, parking tickets.
That was in the paper.
Oh,
This
for the
is-
MRBA meeting?
Yes,
Oh,
Friday.
oh, really?
This Friday.
Oh,
So Jeff was there, so I said, well, go talk to him. Well, I said, we're having basically a town meeting on town things to fix things on Plum Island, and the police are all giving us parking tickets.
Well, we can get into where they were. But anyway,
Oh,
again,
why do you accept to have visitors? I don't understand.
Yeah, you can't object to having visitors.
I'm not objecting.
And it's specifically expansion of open space and recreational, it's like beach access. and,
Yeah, the whole works.
You know, you,
Steve is against anybody else coming to his island.
Not
He has a
true.
gate for it for himself.
It's not true, but I'm saying for the purposes of the Newbury master plan, we're trying to do things to accommodate town residents as our first priority.
And the first thing they should do is put the parking lot back on Older Way, which was there for the town people.
Well, I thought we were working on that.
That's my understanding, it's still in play.
And I'm not
Expansion of
talking
open
about having
spaces.
this big paved
No,
parking
I
lot.
think you can't just say expansion of open space and recreation resources on Plum Island, just for Newbury residents.
No.
That's just not the way, I mean, you'd have to have a major, policy discussion that the town decides you're gonna exclude visitors. I mean, that's.
You can't do
Well, we're not
Yeah.
excluding them. I mean, there is some public parking, there's lots of private parking options on the island.
I'm not inclined to, anyway.
Parking is a big problem on Palm.
What else, Steve?
In the next paragraph, it says addressing the needs.
Mm-hmm.
I would say maybe assessing the needs is one more neutral way to put it.
Whatever happened to the study that had that guy, what's his name? Who was appointed to do the study of,
Peter?
yeah,
Erickson?
Peter Erickson says that?
But I have a real study that the government paid for and I had Vine do. It's in my briefcase if you wanna see it.
You're referring to the Plum Island Study Committee.
Yeah,
That really fell apart
It
because
fell
there were two conflicting points of
You know, there
view.
was one conflicting his.
no, but it didn't get anywhere?
Well, some things were implemented, but then they were not successful.
No.
We were told that the police were gonna put a camera and watch the trash in the bathrooms and they never did.
Well, it was a Homeland Security.
It doesn't
Didn't
matter.
happen.
He promised us at the meeting that he would do that.
Well, it still may come through, I think.
Well, you can put a camera there very.
All right, so
very
what's,
easily.
I don't know if I wanna spend, I mean, it's 9:30, and I swore we'd be out of here by 9:30, and we haven't finished, but I would like to get to the end of this and we can decide what we're gonna do about goals and strategies.
Well, again, I think assessing the needs is a more neutral statement. It doesn't get into should we have more, should we have less. It's
Why don't
it's
we
one of the things to
incorporate
do.
the plan that I have for Plum Island that I did for a cost of $5,000 through Vine?
But what do you have? Send
I
it-
have an actual plan. I got it in the car if you want me to get it.
I mean, it was out there. I've looked at it a number of times.
It's
Sure.
got to do with right-of-ways and parking.
Oh, you mean, is it a
bathrooms.
written plan, or is it a,
Oh, it's a real official plan.
or is it a,
Bathroom
plan?
buildings on,
Everything.
I think what changed, Ron, was when the center got blasted.
I
and-
know it's changed because I gave the $250,000 we had for the bathroom, $350, to the bags, but I promised, and I just talked to Bruce Tyler earlier today, that we could have the money for a bathroom, even if it's a rolling one, for like $100 grand. You know, one on wheels, that he would get me the money. Because I made him promise me that he would give me the money. I did all this work, I got all the grants, I had everything. I've done all this work.
So, no, I'd love to see the plan, but can.
You want me to go get it right now?
No, just send it to me.
How? I don't have a computer.
Email.
Yeah.
Well, is it a hard copy?
Yeah.
Well, let me, mail it to me.
Oh,
Does
I
he just
don't
have one copy?
Right now, I've given out all my
I
files.
actually, maybe can dig up and.
Would you dig up and send it to
That
me?
would be useful, because again, that's something, again, we need to assess and not just embrace without having read it.
Yeah.
But it's
But
very
Why don't
important.
you,
I mean, we did all the hard work, you know, with real engineers being paid.
so, Dan,
A
send
rolling
it to me.
bathroom rather than one that's
Yeah.
permanent, because you got water and sewer.
I got it hooked up there, yeah. I have the water and sewer hookup. When I was working on the water and sewer, I made sure there was one there and one at the point. It's there. So you hook it up to water and sewer for the summer, till October. You unhook it, roll it up to the town yard, bring it back in the spring. Then, to keep it clean, you hire people that wanna take money off their taxes, to
Yeah.
close it,
We
lock
talked
it.
about that last night.
Okay, you can do all those things to do it. I had it all set up before.
No, I would like to see it. And obviously, have you seen it?
I have not seen.
So maybe if you
He's
could,
seen it.
so Dan, if you can get it, and then I can disseminate it.
It may have gone away in some hard drive.
But if you have it.
I actually have it, with all the pictures and maps, and we mapped out
That's
every
what
right
you
of
should do.
way.
You should get it to Martha, and then Martha can.
Do you
give it
have
to all
one?
of us.
I don't have one.
Which office, can I come to your office?
Yes.
You'll have to be escorted, but yes, you can.
You will have
Yeah, that's a big gun.
to, you will have to be escorted.
That's an extra word, that word, it's an extra word.
You know who's got one? Is,
That's what came on the roll call.
Tracy.
Right.
I gave Tracy one.
Can't do that.
A hard copy.
And I know she's been reading it. But, that's the, you know, I think that was the best way to do things, you know, for the whole island. I did the whole island.
So when did you do this?
We did it probably 10 years ago now.
And has any part of it been implemented?
We're doing a little bit down the
Well, you can do the
northern.
bathroom at the point. right?
Yeah, we did the bathroom at the
That was part
point,
of it.
we did the boardwalk. I put some Moby mats out. I went out and I paid a guy to map out all the right of ways. I got the steel under the ground, so you can go out there with a thing and find out where the actual right of ways are. Yeah, I guess I've done a lot, put the bags out, and now we're at this point where the town does not talk to the person that had all that paperwork and all the
Yeah,
right things to do and the money to do it.
get it.
Communications again.
For shame, Martha, for shame.
It wasn't Martha,
All right.
she's not doing it.
Anyway, I think we'd all like to see it become circular.
I'm gonna come back.
All right, fine.
You're not gonna be able to get back in, the door's locked now, outside. Locks at 9.
Even with an escort.
Ron, take this, throw it in the door.
No, and then the fire alarm will go off and,
No, will it?
likely.
No, it's not
No,
locked.
it won't. There you go.
The door is locked,
Locks at 9.
this meeting is illegal.
Yeah, it's an illegal meeting.
Yeah, without a
Leave that thing in the door.
That way people can come in.
So listen, what's everybody's disposition? We,
I'm nasty.
we're,
Let me do one other, comment.
one more Plum Island, then you know what, Steve?
This
You're
would come up
done.
on the goal LU-2,
Hold that thought.
I got it.
where in my copy, there's something in blue that, Roberta added, delineate rights of way in Plum Island, create a map, installing signage to ensure they are recognized. I must point out, and I can send this to you all, that town council has raised the issue about who owns the right-of-ways and streets and where the property ownership ends, and that could affect a lot of things down on Plum Island. Because if you own halfway across the street, well, that increases your lot square footage, and
No, no.
increases, well, that question wasn't put to town council, but it could certainly allow you to build bigger, if that's the case.
Yeah.
And,
I
because the
agree.
town is reaping the
Not
out of
part of
it,
the lot.
something
Not
in
part of
Sandy
the
Way
lot.
where people are paving it, basically. And the town is, and I'm trying to get on the Concom's agenda for the May
Oh,
second
good.
meeting.
Maybe
I
we can get
just
something on
can't
the
recall
council.
ever seeing anybody try to do that. You know, we sort of look at the floor area ratio usually. I just don't, usually the plan shows the right of way and the lots.
Right, and I agree with that, but this is a new Novak associated construction project.
Dirty tricks project.
So I'll send you some relevant emails that I have with what the town council said back and forth with the conservation commission chairman. And, it's like, who owns what are we delineating? And, you know, people are parking in the right of ways as they are down in my neck of the woods. That becomes effectively their parking spaces.
All right,
Anyway, I'm being abstract.
with these goals and strategies,
Obstreperous? No.
these goals and strategies are exactly what's in the implementation plan. So we've kind of gone through the intro. And so we can try to get some of this done, or why don't we just look at the plan and then we'll decide what we want to do next. I think,
They missed Scotland Road.
I think this is a good place to stop on this. Let's look at this plan.
That is the major.
And then we'll, we should have another meeting sooner rather than later though. Maybe in 2 weeks.
Time for a new one, Ron.
So we've got,
As every meeting.
we've got,
And our next meeting actually is next Wednesday, but we don't have any particular agenda items, if you want to pick it up sooner.
we have a planning board meeting next Wednesday?
First Wednesday.
I'm
Oh,
gonna
right,
send some new pictures I got around,
let's do that.
just to look at for kicks.
Oh, these pretty girls or what? No?
Can everybody make a meeting next Wednesday night?
I won't be there.
And if not, we could do the week after, but
Yeah, I can do it.
what's that, the fourth,
It's the third.
third? Marshall?
I can't do third, that's
All right, Jeff, hold on for a second. When, hold on. When when do you think we can have the, community facilities and transportation done? Tony, where are you with the transportation?
Well, I'm still waiting to put the comments into the goals and objectives that we distributed a while
So
ago.
are you waiting on anyone?
Probably waiting on some comments back. I got some from Tracy, but nothing from anybody else.
So what I'm getting at is that if we're gonna meet again, can we meet on more than just this? And so maybe we shouldn't try to do it next week. You know what I mean? Maybe we do it in 3 weeks with the idea that we can have transportation done and community facilities, okay? So we'll get you,
That's not kind of the.
maybe it'll be in 3
Sounds
weeks
right.
from now, and what's that date?
Seventeenth.
Let's look at the
Oh,
17th.
nice picture.
Steve?
I can do it.
Okay, we're gonna look at the 17th for a follow-up to finish the land use and to get into either transportation and community facilities or both, okay?
7 o'clock?
7 o'clock, 17th.
Very close, very close. The
Steve,
building- The buildings
Yeah,
are
let me
completely
just- let me
different,
just get you
but
this
you got
stuff
the
first.
Coast Guard.
What I
both
wanna
of them
show
there.
you first
Yeah,
here
that one,
is
that
this
one
map.
changed.
is the map we did of all the
I'll
right
text
of ways
everything else is
of
different.
Plum Island. And over here, you'll see, you know, use, no use, close them, unclose them, make them public right of ways. And that's the basin too, because the basin has right of ways too.
So you got priorities 1, 2, and 3.
And you can see by the color,
Yep, Moby mats and trails to be closed for storage units, okay.
So
okay?
who is Martha King?
Oh, she was the lady I dealt with at the, putting
DCR?
in the boardwalk.
All right, so what we should do, can you give us this and you can make copies and distribute it to people?
I can, if Ron's willing to.
I'm willing to do that,
Yeah,
as long as I get it back. Give me an extra copy, so in case
I
one
mean, it's not
people-
that long, it's 23 pages. Be worthwhile looking at.
So people understand what we did and how much work we did to have the whole island
That's,
bathrooms
Annapolis. This is
right away open.
Annapolis Way right here.
Now, I paid for right-of-way signs that we've never put in, and I've never seen.
Over here.
Yeah, well, no beach.
This is you did this,
The playground, we built the playground.
you did all this?
Yeah, well, we worked with DCR, and what I did is when we were building the boardwalk, because I grew up in Plum Island, we used to have fires on the beach. I said, we're gonna make the floor out of Trex, and the railings out of Trex, and we're gonna use covered wire for the sides. Because, you know, I know what kids will do, pull it apart to burn it.
Oh, yeah.
So it cost us an extra $17,000 to do that,
Yeah.
which we paid.
So she did this, or who's this?
No, David Vine did it.
Who's David Vine? Why do I know
David
that
Vine
name,
was
but I don't-
Vine Engineering.
This is
Okay,
similar picture.
we'll make copies.
Right.
And give them
I just,
That's
it's the only
the
one I got
post
left, I've
actually.
given out everything to
Yeah.
everybody over the years.
There,
But it's a
footing
very
is
important
still there,
document.
The tower, the footing is still there. That pretty well verifies what I've said for years. that
All right, we're all
I
set.
keep everything that has to do with Plum
the
Island.
south side of the south.
I have more pictures.
You're right, you need a new.
When's
Can
our
we
next
get
meeting?
another
I'm
list?
sorry, you gave us a
I
picture.
just.
17th.
I just happen to have one at home, but I'll give it.
Just bring it in,
I'll bring it.
bring it in.
But you ought to look at those pictures I have too, they're very
Yeah,
interesting, aren't they?
I haven't seen this.
Mm.
All right, so we don't officially have to end this meeting, but I think the meeting is, oh, I saw these are great.
Those,
You
I
had them
them
at the end, at the meeting.
Yeah,
Yeah, these are great.
and where are the other ones?
Around with it, right here somewhere.
Oh, he's not.
Yeah, this is extraordinary what's happening.
That's the same.
Yeah,
I know.
actually not quite as much, but close.
Yeah,
Not a surprise.
and every time I bring these pictures, everybody goes, really, it happened again? It's
Well,
called history.
Yeah, it's called history and,
go look at the old charts.
hey, it's what happens when you build these things, right?
Go look at the old charts. It was part of the river.
Now, that's where the houses are being rebuilt. That's why I keep that every time somebody says, I'm rebuilding a house, I go, well, that's my idea.
So is it the opinion of everybody on the island that this situation is caused by the construction of the jetty on the south part of,
Let me explain what this is all about. When they built the jetty, it came from Reservation Terrace out, and there was no
Right.
sand,
Right,
okay? When they built the jetty, because they had to work there, they put sand fences in the 1800s, and it grew the sand. So that's why it's all government land, all right?
because it's
it
found,
was,
It's fine.
it was water.
found,
It was
la-
found,
found
it was
land.
found land, okay? And that's why it belonged to the Army Corps.
Mhm.
And they put the
None-
Coast Guard station out there and whatnot, and see what happened to the Coast Guard station,
Okay.
right, when we passed the jetty.
Sure.
So, when these people say, well, put a hole in the jetties are put for navigation
Right.
and supposed to be complete. They have rebuilt their jetty completely. They've done their job,
Mhm.
okay? The land that was there belonged to the government because the government built it.
Okay.
So what the people really should be concerned about is what they can put in front of their houses until it reverses, because it will reverse, because of sand coming down from the
Yeah.
north,
Yeah.
from south to north, to the
North-
jetty,
North to south, isn't it?
south to north
No,
right
at
there.
that point, yeah, it's the other way
It comes
around.
the opposite
Oh,
way.
okay.
It comes out the
Makes a
jetty,
lot of sense, it's an eddy, yeah.
it comes around the jetty, and it comes backwards because the jetties are fixed. In 2 years from now, the sand will come back over, okay? And when the sand starts feeding it, it'll fill back up again. 2, 3, don't get me to the year, but that's what will happen, okay? But in between time, the sand goes away quickly, because it gets, the waves come in and chew it up,
Yeah.
and the current
Scrape
takes
right
it out.
Scrape right out.
Yep, and ends up in the bar out front there, and there's only that much water in the bar.
Right, I got pictures of all, I take pictures by airplane every 6 weeks, from Boar's Head to Gloucester. And some group just did a thing for Plum Island, I've got it right here, and all they did, this is what they did, what was it called, who did this? The people, Woods Hole. And this is what they did, and as we work as a group, see what they did? As a group, we're worried about the sand traveling from Boar's Head to Gloucester, where it is, where it can be trucked back from, by ship or whatever. And they gave us this, out of Sandy money, we go, well, what can we do with that?
Right.
Cause there's no place
Right.
to plan where to put sand from that,
Right.
so it's like a waste of money. Sandy money,
This was Sandy.
we didn't do it, Peter Fippen did it. You saw that picture, right?
Yeah, that was, I did take pictures this day. This is, is this Bob's house?
Let's see the house falling.
Yeah.
Mhm.
No, I was out there that day and it was really extraordinary stuff.
That was, the next day from the storm, and I got the plane in and we went.
No, I
We
was
did
in-
the whole coast.
Yeah, the day of the storm, you almost couldn't get out there. But this is,
You
the
wouldn't
ninth,
wanna be.
the ninth.
You know what the best pictures I got though? I was in the plane and the guys, like, where else you wanna go? I said, the Isle of Shoal.
That's really,
I wanted to see the ocean coming out, so I got all the pictures of the ocean
Wow,
hitting those rocks and literally going over the whole islands.
wow.
It was like unbelievable. Every time that my house is shaking, it's going like this, I think of the lady that lives out there.
Now, we could ask Dan to bring a copy of all the permits that people got to put
She's
that
living on a
riprap in
rock
front of the
though,
house.
Ron,
And
not
you'll find
sand.
it'd be an easy
She's
task.
living on a
If I'm gonna live on an island, how's the song go? I wanna live on a rock.
My house is built on a rock.
I mean, most of the Isle of Shoal is all rock.
Yeah, all
It is a
rock,
rock.
all rock.
It's rock, all what, 6 or 7 of the islands?
So what does this scale here mean?
But what most of these people don't know is
Or is it showing
state
what
line
sand
runs right
you
through
keep?
the Isle of Shoal.
Yeah, so it shows the storms
Half
in which
Maine,
direction.
more than
Half
half Maine,
Maine.
more than half
Yeah,
Maine.
if it comes from this direction, then.
Yeah.
they're not gonna,
This is Noah,
they're gonna try to take over.
and up here,
There.
it goes north.
So like chapter 91.
When the first time I told somebody that.
For a
No,
tiny
that's not
island,
true.
it has a lot of amazing history.
Huh?
For a tiny island, I mean, it is tiny.
Yeah.
Isle of Shoal, I mean,
Yeah.
they're all tiny.
Yeah.
It's got amazing history.
When I was
Yeah,
a kid,
yeah,
when I was
yeah.
10 years old, I had a little 10 foot, 11, 12-foot plywood boat with a 20 on it, and we used to go out there.
From
Tell,
here?
yeah, from Brooklyn. And then we tell our mothers that we were gonna stay over the other kids' house.
Yeah.
And we go out there, we stayed in a house that was haunted.
Oh,
And
it's
you know,
compatible with, yeah.
But I'm looking at it now today, and I think, wow, that house was 250 years old when we used to go out there, and it just sits there and takes it, and it's got, you know, real 2x4 ceilings and stuff. And it's just taken this wind for 250 years, now 300.
Yeah, that's amazing stuff.
Imagine today's construction.
They're all ruts.
Would have disintegrated.
Would have just, you're.
But this is my MRVA meeting files, and everybody says, well, if we had a picture of that, and I go, wait a second.
Alright, guys,
But this is important, do you wanna take a picture of this?
3 weeks, is it 3 weeks?
Yeah, 3 weeks.
That's actually in the plan, right?